good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Been waiting so patient, I'm going places, can't fake it. My heart is so cold, my energy is contagious. All the pain, I can't take it. I'm staying grounded and graceful, cause I know everything that I've been through only made me count my blessings daily. Yeah, they've been acting shady, but I don't take it personal. The memories fading, I'm enjoying the moment. I've been smelling the roses, taking time to reflect, stepping back, the truth unfolding, unfolding. Got nothing to prove, cause I'm not the blow. I've been in the booth, speaking through my soul. You know that I'm true, either way it go, either way it goes. I cannot turn cold, staying on the low. I've been protecting my soul. If your intentions are not pure, I can't let you get too close, cause I'm vibrating high. Ain't got time for your ego, these niggas quit to turn me back. Acting like the amigos, they never cared in the shows. Wasn't with you at your lows, assuming that you gonna fold. But baby, I've been growing ever since I let you go. And I've been doing better, and I know that hurts to know. Hurts to know. Only good vibes around me, and that's for sure. Only good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. You see me searching for my inner peace. I've been learning more about myself and my purpose. Truth always come to the surface. Was hurting, but I had to heal. Releasing all the pain that I always held. Been going through some changes, I'll make it still. Protecting my soul to keep it real. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes.
It's not productive, it's kind of gross and icky, and I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes.
Off is a fucking terrorist, a fucking pedophile, sympathizing fucking terrorist.
Gary McFarlane, a sack full of dreams.
Oh my God! It was our job to help law enforcement.
I've got a dream for the world. Peace in the rivers and everywhere. Bridges of steel and love. And cities that smile.
It's kind of gross and icky, and I feel like it tells us more about them than the people they're trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
Gray empty faces walk by. And hands try to hide all the loneliness. Lighting a cigarette to blow time away. Lost in the noise, lonely as a wind. People on sidewalks with no place to go. Can they learn to understand the world of love that I'm dreaming? The world of love. And I said, I've got a sack full of dreams. Streets filled with laughter and toy balloons and people with hearts that care. Who listen for love. Wanting to sing, wanting to care, wanting to share all my dreams for the world. Can they learn to understand the world of love that I'm dreaming? Wanting to share all my dreams for the world. Can they learn? Can they learn? Can they learn to understand the world of love? Peace, peace and happiness. Love and kindness. Bruh. This is my sack full of dreams.
Thank you very much.
All right, and welcome in everyone. Welcome in everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, January 13th. Already, we're so well into the month, and hey, it's a really good week, and I'm so glad to see everyone. And hey, Noe's getting out tomorrow, so we will be seeing Noe very soon. So everyone, please, congratulate Noe on coming on back to join us, and we'll be seeing him out tomorrow. So I'm just looking so forward to that. And before we get into the show tonight, I want to thank those who are here for being here early and apologize for my tardiness. I had audio problems, so you won't believe we're having audio problems, and so please let me know if audio problems pop up during the show, because it was the funniest thing. You know that old joke about when something's not working, you just hit it and then it starts working. Yeah, so that's what happened. And I couldn't figure out what the deal was, so I just jostled the preamp and boom, suddenly I had audio. So 10 minutes of troubleshooting, but I got the audio back, at least for now. So if it happens to glitch out, please let me know if there's an audio issue that's major. But I want to thank everybody who's here early, especially MJ Lewis, Carla Ann, Fur Baby Daddy, Victims News on Air, Heavy Metal Rehab. Um, oh, here we go. Deb, Sharon Tibbetts, Donnie Kuntz, Quadaxo Mimi, Emily, Critter Mama. Who else is here? Carol. Hey, Carol. Rebecca Ann, 1965. Miss Pie Crust. Lisa. Becky. Snoop Sleuth. Okay, who else am I missing? Ode Caresto. Mandy Boo. Goddess. Amy Dunn. Sunflower Soul. Moonbeam 70s Child. 26 Dead Zombies Dude. Gene. Okay. And hey, anyone else I'm missing? Kelly G. Everyone here, everyone who's lurking. Hey, hey, Lurker Crew. Welcome, Lurker Crew. Good to see you. And everyone on the replay. Thanks for being on the replay. I hope you enjoy the replays. And if you do, please look back at the past couple weeks of replays, because I would love to see you leave comments below once you watch the replay and on into the older replays, because the past few have been pretty good. We've had some pretty good information that I've comprehensively laid out in the past handful of shows. So you don't want to miss that. So if you've missed the past handful of shows, trust me, it's worth your time. Even if you just put the earbuds in and just listen. You don't have to see what's on the screen. But yeah, please make sure you catch all these past handful of shows. What's up, Court of Public Opinion? Good to see you. And let me see, I'm looking for something here. Apologize. Let me deal with something here. Okay. There you go, Snoop Sleuth. Moonbeam 70s Child, Snoop Sleuth, Court of Public Opinion, and everyone I'm so glad to see. And I am just so honored to have highly respected individuals from the state of Indiana like Court of Public Opinion and Victims News on Air, and all my locals who watch and who know the landscape very well. It's an honor to have you all in here, because you know that I'm telling the truth and I'm looking into things that are worth looking into. And that's some of what we're going to be doing tonight. Tonight's show is called DELPHI, Indiana's Billy Badasses and the Conspiracy to Frame Richard Allen. That's right. Indiana's Billy Badasses and the conspiracy to frame Richard Allen. So apologize. I guess I'm learning how to talk today. What's up, High Rights? All right. So I'm so glad to see everybody. And that's it. And we're going to be getting into some information tonight, because what's up, old Mort Newmort? What I've been doing is, obviously we're in a lull of action in the court system regarding Richard Allen and DELPHI. And because of that, I consider this to be somewhat of a downtime. Okay, we're in one of these lulls where we have downtime, and so in this downtime, what I've been doing is diving into information that's already out here that's highly concerning, and as I do that, I sort of prioritize what I want to bring to you, and that's what's up. Okay, I'd like to present to you things as I feel like presenting them, and as I've been diving into older things, sometimes I see things I missed before, sometimes new things come to my attention, and you know how it goes. But it's definitely a deep study session daily. And so there are also all of these conversations happening behind the scenes, you know, and you guys really should thank people like Adrian from In Light in the Dark, and people like Erica from Victims News on Air, and people like Christina from Oh Hey Christina, and people like I don't know, Christine from from the Defense Investigators, and oh, they're just a handful who we constantly have this discussion going. That's very important. And as anyway, as we knock ideas around and things surface, and I study them and I try to bring forward or to the forefront things that I feel are pertinent now. So I kind of do that. And tonight, that's what we're going to be doing because there's some things I want to present to you. Just to sort of, I guess, establish a frame around what I think is sort of the basic idea of this framing of Richard Allen, and display to you some evidence of that. And there's multi layers of that. So, you know, just because I show some things in these next few hours, it doesn't mean it's all there is. And I spoke to someone earlier about that, and I said, there's just so much, it's never ending. If I show you 3, 4, 5 things tonight, be certain that there are 50 more. There's 10x more, you know. So the few things that we'll go through, although it might seem like it's a lot, because it'll take us some hours to go through, it's just the tip of the iceberg. They're just examples or case in point of the basic idea, because there's literally just volumes of all of this. And this is what's really concerning, is that there's so much to indicate that everything wrong happened here and crimes have been committed and multiple layers of crimes, that I don't understand how there's no oversight over this process. Truly, this entire deal with Richard Allen, there needs to be review or oversight. There needs to be a looking into it, because clearly, if there is a true looking into it, it would not be allowed to stand, and probably some people will be prosecuted. I'm certain of it. And if back to my last few live streams, if you go and look into my last handful of live streams, I think you will be convinced of that, because I clearly laid out just a whole line of facts. And like I said, we're dealing with 90% evidence-based facts, and also the 10% of things that we're not as free to discuss, and the unknown. So I would say that 10% we're dealing with is a mix of background information, behind the scenes information, speculation, deduction, networking. So there's a lot. There's a lot. Hey, Steffa, and hey, Silence Woman, and hey, David Rogers, and anyone who's come in. Hello to you. Thanks for coming in. So this should be interesting, okay? And like I say, anyone who thinks it's a lot to deeply study this, put it on 1.5 or 2 times speed and in the earbuds, and do your days. And even if you just listen to the past 5, 6, 7 shows, guaranteed there'll be a lot there. And luckily, we've been blessed to be at it for a while, so there's a lot of depth into the history of this channel that you're free to go explore. Also on the community page, I highly recommend you study the community page, and on the small channel where I will be reposting this in the coming days. Those community pages also have information. And speaking of that, it's just rather funny, so to speak, that these individuals, these foot soldiers of the conspirators in Delphi, they run the street protecting pedophiles and baby killers, and not only that, they come onto YouTube and they strike down our content. So yeah, just in the past 2 days, I've had 3 or 4 community posts struck down and 2 videos. So just so you'll know, they're censoring us here, but they can't censor everything. So they might get 1% of my content censored, but they're not going to get the other 99%. So we'll just kill them with volume. But yeah, the individuals who I've been exposing in the past week, yeah, they all struck down they don't want the evidence of their dirty deeds, of their stalking behaviors, of their bullying behaviors, of their false reports to the law enforcement in Indiana and in Colorado. They don't want the evidence of that on the YouTube for you all to see. So therefore, I will be putting it everywhere else, like on Twitch, like on Substack, like on TikTok, and the like. So, the way that you see the censored content is you go to all the other platforms where it's not as easy to weaponize the systems. Because here on YouTube, what they do is they weaponize the copyright system and they weaponize the privacy claim system. And hey, we all know it's the Chomo Meister doing this, right? Because what he does, he simps for the bullies, and he goes and he files false privacy claims that doesn't even have anything to do with his identity. So you know how it works, but we'll not really be getting deep into that. But I'm just saying it's kind of hilarious in the past few days that's been happening. So like I said, it's going to all go towards the other platforms because I'm not going to be censored. Every time you censor me, I'm going to do it 10 times louder and 10 times in more other places. So you might get it off of my YouTube page, but you ain't disappearing it. Therefore, I suggest all my viewers click on this link tree at the top of the chat, and go and subscribe to all my social media, including the TikTok, the Substack, the Twitch, and hell, wherever else you see in the link tree, because I'm going to make sure you get it somewhere else, okay, when they remove it from here. So there'll be extended articles coming on All Eyes on Delphi, on Frank Meister, on Rescue All the Dogs and the stalking of Noe and the following around to the court, on the plot to murder me and to have Noe put away for 20 years. All of this stuff on the Matt Hoffman and the Cranks, all of this stuff you're going to be finding on Substack for sure, because I'm not going to be censored. So yeah, you might as well stop. I mean, piece of advice for the people who like doing it. Is it really worth taking down a single short when I go and multiply it times 10? Just think about that. So anyhow, with that being said, I'm so glad to see everybody, and I think we should get started because there's a lot. And so this is what we're going to start with. We're going to start with this this thing here. Now, this is how this story officially starts, okay? And I wanted to tell this story in the way that it's officially told, you know what I mean? So that you understand what the story is before we give you the background. Because we have been looking into the background, and here's what's for certain. Richard Allen was targeted in the years prior to this date. Okay, so when you see October 13, 2022, well, you really got to bring that back a good year and a half or so. And we'll be showing the evidence of that in the forthcoming weeks. But for now, we're going to start here. And I just wanted to mention And we're not going to do a comprehensive presentation tonight on this aspect, but I'd like you to take note of the date, okay? October 13th, 2022. 13, okay, 13. 13. And the reason is because there's this weird nexus of symbolism. There's this weird nexus of what we kind of have referred to witchy poo chomoverse bullshit. But what I find that it's that all of the individuals who seem to be controlling this narrative all have these bizarre symbolic aspects that they convey in their social media presence and have on in the past. And what I also find is when you look into Richard Allen and this entire process, it's layered. Remember, all the 213s, okay? The 213-year-olds on 213 at 213. And then we find all of the individuals online with 213s, 312s, and 123s and 321s, okay? And we find a lot of 13s are the dates on which a lot of chaos has happened, including here we have Thursday, October 13th. They go for him on the 13th. And remember what happens on the 31st of October. Again, this crime scene was layered with 13s and 213s, and I've displayed that in a video that I call Apocalypse Delphi, which I've been promoting this Apocalypse Delphi video that I made some time ago, because this Apocalypse Delphi video touches on several layers of the occult bizarreness of the crime scene, totally in its totality, and the timelines. Remember, we had the Valisblot happening and all this stuff. So the 13s, like I'm saying, the 31st, 213s out the wazoo. And as you get into it, although it sounds unbelievable, you'll start to understand that there are these occult signatures or signaling that seem to be just throughout this case. So I think it's a combination of some sort of nexus of what we call witchy poo world and child predation and trafficking. And honestly, I know there's zero doubt. This is a crossroads of occult weirdness and child trafficking and predation. And there's zero doubt in that, which leads me to the concept that there's very, very, very little doubt that Richard Allen had nothing to do with this, because you don't find any of that in his background, but you do find in all of these people's, and literally all of them. But like I said, October 31st and October 13th, it's just, it's endless. But this document here is a transcript, okay? And it's called The Statement Upon Oral Examination of Richard M. Allen on Thursday, October 13, 2022. A witness produced and questioned at 1967 White Man Drive, Delphi, Indiana, and at 5810 North 9th Street, Delphi, Indiana. Transcribed from a digital file provided by Stephen Mullen, Carroll County Prosecutor's Office. Examination conducted by Steve Mullen and Carroll County Prosecutor's Office Detective Tony Liggett. Okay, so we'll flip through a couple things I want to show you here. On behalf of the Indiana State Police, David Vito. Okay. And if you take a close look at the table of contents here, arrival at 1967 Whiteman Drive, page 4. Questions by Mullen, 4. Transport, 13. Questions by Mullen, 17. Conversation outside the door at 5810 North 9th. Okay, 106. Transport back to 1967 Whiteman Drive, 109. Conversation after arrival at 1967 Whiteman Drive. Okay? So, key initials that we're going to be looking for in this. Steve Mullen, Tony Liggett, David Vito, Richard, Kathy, Brittany. Okay? Now, we'll get into it, okay? I'm going to blow this up so that you all can see it. Just give me a moment. Now, honestly, I made a community post in regard to this page here. Okay. And I said, this is a bombshell. Okay. This is a bombshell moment that I have not heard anyone at all discuss. I've not heard anyone at all really emphasize this particular point. Now, check this out. Steve Mullen and Tony Liggett arrive at Whiteman Drive, Richard Allen's home. And I would like you to listen to the first few words. Mullen says, okay. Liggett says, mum's the word in case he's got cameras. Mullen says, okay. Liggett says, he might think it's a good thing to stay here. I can come back and get him. Okay, nice house. Does that bother anyone? Do your alarm bells go off? So picture Mullen and Liggett pull up to the house. The first words spoken are, mum's the word in case he's got cameras. Mum's the word in case he's got cameras. He might think it's a good thing to stay here. I can come back and get it. So you know what I think this means? I think first, my claim is he was targeted, right? Like pre-targeted. Pre-targeted. So I think what they did, they had this plan. We're going to go over there. We're going to catch him off guard. We're going to try to get permission to go in there, lay our eyes on things, get him to agree to talk to us, get him to agree to a search of his house and devices, and use that to start this ball rolling, get this ball rolling to plow him over. And I think what happened was they were thinking he would give permission. They wouldn't need a search warrant. And what line number 7 is indicating in 8 is that if I need to go get a search warrant, I think it's better if he stays here and you stay here with him and I can go and get it. I can go get the search warrant and then we'll do it this way. But let's take a look at what actually transpired, okay? And like I said, I'm not reading all the way through this, but we'll take a look at some important points or moments, I'd like to call them. So what happens is, that's all said, and then knock on the door. Okay? And then it says, oh, there's somebody. Good morning. And Rick says, good morning. Good morning, Steve Mullen with the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office. Okay. My card here. This is Tony Liggett with the Sheriff's Department. How you doing? Are you Richard? I am. Okay, Richard, here's my identification. So we would like to have a few minutes to talk with you, Richard, about something that's come up in our investigation, okay, of the Abby and Libby case, okay? Would you be willing to come with us downtown? We need to sit down and probably talk there. Maybe get some shoes on, okay? Would that be okay? Could we come in for a minute? Sure. All right, thank you very much. Then they invite him in. Then he invites them in. Now, I'm going to continuously reiterate through this transcript where Rick behaves like a totally innocent person. Totally innocent. Rick behaves like a totally innocent person. He invites them in. Sure, come on in. Okay? And we'll get to more later, so just keep listening. Do you go by Richard or Rick? I go by Rick. Okay? Rick. Okay. All right. I think I've seen you at CVS before. Is that where you work? I'm sure you have. Okay. You got a cat, do you? Got a cat? A couple of them. Yeah. Are those your fish? I caught them down there in the creek. These fish on your wall? I'm sorry? The fish on your wall? Yeah. No kidding? And down here in Deer Creek? That's pretty, yeah. Holy cow, that's pretty good. Yeah, those are beautiful. Yeah, they really are. Where'd you get him mounted at? I believe he's urinating. I'll be there in just a minute. Oh, no problem. Do you work today? Sorry, what? Do you work today? No. Didn't want to mess up your schedule or something like that. No, I made myself, that isn't on my schedule. Do you care if I smoke a cigarette real quick? Sure, that's fine. Right here? Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I literally just got out of bed. Just leave it open? Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. We can give you a ride up there. And then there's a sound of garage door opening. Can we give you a ride up there? Or we can give you a ride up there? Wait, I step out here if it's okay. Oh, that's fine. Sure, great. This your car? Yes, sir. How long have you had that? It's a 2016. Okay, got it new? You see what they're doing already? You see what they're doing already? What about that car? How long you had that car? Got it new? Yeah. Okay, nice place. How long have you guys lived up here? How long have you guys lived up here? 2000. With Walmart, 2000. Moved to Indy in 2006. Okay. Yeah. 16. Okay, well, it's a beautiful little place up here. This is a nice area. Quiet. Yeah. That it is. It's very rare that we even get calls out here. I've seen, honestly, it's been years since I've seen anybody up here, really, says Rick. Yeah. I know one time I was inside, I came out to smoke and I heard voices outside the door and I went out. Actually, I went out and got my gun first. And I went outside, stuck my head out first, and a cop was out there. I went, got a gun? He goes, well, so do I. I'm like, what kind of, two people were here doing beside my house. Oh, well, been long ago? Is that long ago? It's years. Yeah, there you go. I don't even remember. What were they doing? Honestly, I don't even remember. I think somebody called them because they saw something. Okay, so here's second point. If Rick Allen used a gun in the commission of a crime against two children, and if he knew that these two investigators were suddenly in his house telling him they're there to talk to him about that murder, would he have volunteered to them anything about his gun? Think, people. Think like a criminal. Actually, think like a double child murderer. Let me put some socks and shoes on. Okay, can we come back in? Do you mind? I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, that's for the cat. Yeah. It's like a cat climbing thing. They probably love that. Do you like cats? Oh, they do. Are you a cat fan yourself? Actually, believe it or not, I came around. My wife's turned me into a cat person, I guess. Well, that's good. I'm still working on it. I mean, like, I like cats when they're outside, but do you know what I mean? I do. But yeah, I don't know if it's going to ever happen or not. It's just the hair that bothers me. Is this where the cat hair came from? That from the troll farm? I mean, we all know that all of this was leaked to the troll farm, right? You guys do know that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we replaced the cat at my house as they die off. We replaced them with little dogs. What the fuck? What? Listen, any of you cat lovers out there? Any of you cat lovers out there? What kind of statement is that? We replaced the cat at my house as they die off? Replacing a cat? I don't think we replace animals that we love, do we? We replace them with little dogs. Oh, no kidding. Yeah. I didn't know that. Yeah, because my wife really likes cats too, but I'm not bad with it until they're up on the counter. It just drives me crazy. Yeah. I don't want the cat where I eat at. I hear you. It's just not one of those things. Ours really don't do that, says Rick, but they're not perfect. Well, I know they're not perfect. Neither am I, but they're a cat. Yeah, you've got enough stuff to keep them occupied. Uh-huh. Yeah. They seem shy. They're not out here running around. Seems like these cops don't like cats very much. Neither do I, the prof, but I mean, I don't hate them. They do not like other people, says Rick. Really? Oh, they don't dislike them. Well, they're just scared. Scared of me, I get it. Well, they're hiding for sure. Yeah, okay. They hear that doorbell knock or doorbell, it's over. Oh, I see. Wow. I'm sorry. You need to sit down. I apologize. I don't want to get in your way there, but yeah, my cat, on the other hand, it'd be rubbing your leg right now, at least. Some, yeah. But my wife works at a vet clinic out there at Horizon, Uh-huh. They have cats out there that run around and visit the dogs and everybody else. Mm-hmm. Is she a vet? Is she a vet? No, she's just a receptionist out there. Oh, so she's an animal lover too? Yeah, probably knew that getting into it, didn't you? Well, I'm had no honestly, didn't have the animal talk. We didn't have cats at home. Wow. We had one here and there. Oh, when she was back at home with her mom and dad. Uh-huh. I don't remember where we got our first cat or why. Or let me take my medications real quick. Okay. All right. All right. All right. I'm good. Okay. All right. Very good. We'll be glad to give you a ride. You can ride with us. I got room. You see, this is more entrapment here. This is more entrapment. This was strategic. Riding with them was a strategy, not an accident. Okay. How long am I going to be? Do I text my wife and let her know? Up to you. Do I text my wife and let him know? So he cares. So Rick Allen not only cares about his cats, he cares about his wife. Oh, she is? Oh, okay. Well, we see what we can get done. See what's going on. Put you out front or put you out in front there. What happened? Something pull off? No, no, no. Sound of entering a vehicle. I didn't know there was a water bottle there. Oh, my goodness. Sorry about that. Are you cold? No. You okay? I'm fine. All right. Tony was complaining about my heat earlier. The older I get, the easier I get cold, it seems like. Oh, yeah, I know about that. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. It's really helpful. Rick Allen, not a problem. Not a problem. Wanted to find out a few things. And so you work at CVS? Yes, sir. And then your wife works at Horizon Vet Clinic? Mm-hmm. How long has she worked out there? Oh, man, pretty much. I think right after we moved here. Wow. So 14 years. Yeah, and you have kids? I saw pictures on the walls. Got a daughter, Brittany. Brittany, okay. She's married, lives up in Napanee. How old is she now? 94, about 28, 29. 29, 29. I always have to figure. Yep. Okay, probably had her in Dare in elementary school. She went to Delphi here all through her high school, didn't she? Oh, no, 2006. Yeah, that was sixth grade, maybe. Sixth grade. If she was here, fifth grade, I probably had her because I did fifth grade Dare class here, 2000. I had in the 2000s. Yeah. Cool. Good deal. So we have an investigation center we're using out on the west side of town. So we'll go out there if it's okay, sit down there a little while. It's quieter, nondescript. Nobody knows much what goes on there. It's a good thing to know. Yeah. So have you only worked at CBS or there's been other jobs you've had around? I've been at CBS since 2013. Before that, I spent 10 years with Walmart, a little bit of everywhere with Walmart. Boy, look at those leaves begin to turn. What do you do at CVS? I think when I'm in there, it seems like you're doing everything, a little bit of something different. I'm just a shift supervisor. Oh, okay. I just do a little bit of everything. You're a supervisor, but you're usually the only one there, or there may be one other person. So you're not really supervising much except yourself. It's good though. Who's your direct supervisor out there? George. Okay, the price of gas is coming down. Look at that, a whole 10 cents or more. Makes you want to go out and get some. Yeah, Monday I'll be right there. Yeah, I don't know. Makes it all. Oh, trees are turning nice colors. It's like I like fall here. It's getting kind of pretty out. It'd be nice if it could be fall year round, says weird ass Tony Liggett. Yeah. The weather would be nice that way. That'd be about the only thing about it. My brother-in-law, sister-in-law went down to Brown County here about a weekend ago or so, something like that, and enjoy that place down there. It's kind of nice. You ever go vacation for the fall or get away? Not really. Yeah, me neither. Usually summer, spring. Summer, usually after getting through all the holidays and stuff, I'm ready to take a vacation early in the year too. Yeah, so don't do much. Just get away from work. Yep, good deal. Yeah, it's good to get outside this time. Weather's just nice, not too bad, just right. Get a lot of things done out in the yard. I think my wife told me. She told me they went down to Brown County. She was kind of hinting she wanted to go. I don't always catch the hints like I should. Yeah. My wife's going down to whatever they call it down there, down south, Bridge Festival, Covered Bridge. Oh, Covered Bridge Festival. Yeah. Well, she did it every year, or pretty much she's maybe missed a year here and there, but well, we're almost there. There it is. Whatever. Nice little place here, all right? And then sound of exiting a vehicle. Okay? Exiting a vehicle. So what we're going to do now is we're going to skip, okay? Because all of you have clearly, who follow the case closely, you've clearly probably gone and watched the video of this particular, what I call an interrogation over there at the 9th Street or the North 9th Street Center where they did this interrogation. So Most people have seen that. So we're going to skip that entire thing. And trust me, there are plenty of sources for going watch the entire thing. If that's something you want to do, I highly recommend it. But for tonight, we're going to skip over that, but it's out there. But we're going to get to some things that are less clear. Okay. And it's going to start here. We're going to start as that interview or that interrogation finishes. And I want to guide you through this here. Now we're on page 106. Okay. So it says that they leave the building and then Mullen re-enters the building and he goes to Vito. Okay. And Vito immediately says, you got anything? Did you get anything? And Mullen says, just that he was wearing the same clothes. He's wearing the same clothes. Vito says, I don't want him to go back to his house. I don't mean to arrest him, but I mean, so you guys see what I'm saying here? So as they finish this interrogation, they bring Rick outside, and then Mullen runs back in the building and does a little putting the heads together with Vito. And he says, and Vito says, did you got anything? Did you get anything? And Mullen says, just that he's wearing the same clothes. He's wearing the same clothes. Okay, so first key point I want to bring up. Absolutely first key point. Same clothes. So after the entire first interrogation, the main point they're coming away with is same clothes, which we know is complete and total BS. And we're going to be getting to that later. Okay, we will. This is where we're headed. Same clothes? No. But with only that, and that being the primary factor, Vito's already to the point of saying, I don't want him to go back to his house. I mean, I don't mean to arrest him, but I mean, so you see? You see what's happening here? Vito already doesn't want him to go back in that house because the intent is already search his home. You get it? They had already decided, I'm positive before they went pick him up, but definitely after they believe that they can put him in a similar outfit, they have now concluded that they need that search warrant. They don't want him to go home. They're willing to arrest him to keep him from going home because the search is about to happen, right? And remember what I said is that he wasn't wearing those same clothes. And you'll see that, but let's continue. So conversation outside the door. Rick says, now here's the thing. And David Vito decides to see David Vito is wanting to avoid falsely arresting him. So Vito goes to bad cop mode. Okay, we're getting into bad cop mode, and Vito turns bad cop on him and says, "You need to listen to me, okay? Because here's the thing: I've interviewed hundreds of people for this case, and every single one of them is doing everything that they can to help us do our job. Whatever you need." I don't know how many times I've heard that come out of people's mouths. Really, Vito. Tony Klein. Didn't I just read Holman saying in his deposition that Tony Klein was consistently uncooperative and would get up and leave out of the room, refusing polygraphs and all of the like? Didn't I hear that Keegan Klein was uncooperative? Didn't I hear that Patrick Westfall was uncooperative? Didn't I hear who else did he mention that was so you got all these uncooperative people who are POIs or were. And what you say to Rick is that I've interviewed hundreds of people. Every single one of them is doing everything they can to help us do our job. Whatever you need. I don't know how many times I've heard that. Whatever you need, I'll do a polygraph. I'll do this. I'll do that. And Rick says, I've got nothing to hide. Line number 11. I've got nothing to hide. But you're not showing that to these guys. They've been nothing but nice and respectful to you. Okay, sure, okay. But we have to clear this up. You're going to end up having a lawsuit on your hands. This is what you're going to end up. What you need to do. Now look, this is Rick. Okay, so imagine the picture I'm painting for you. He's just talked with these guys, which you can go and watch on the video. And the minute David Vito goes out there and starts challenging him, he says, you can end up with a lawsuit on your hands. That's what you're going to end up with. Vito says, you walk out, listen. And Rick says, and Vito says, listen to me. Rick says, no, you walk out of here. That does nothing to help you, believe it or not. Okay. We are trying to get this cleared up. And well, you obviously think that I did this, or that's what Rick, I'm sorry. I have not tried to piss you off. Rick says, you sit there and tell me you don't think I did it. Well, Vito says, first of all, I didn't sit there and tell you anything. What I'm reaching out to you right now is giving you an opportunity before you leave here. And Rick says, they've already ruined to have a chance. You talking, I am done. Wait. So Rick says, I am done. They've ruined it. I'm going home or you're arresting me. So think, Rick's not just telling Holman, arrest me. He's telling Vito and Mullen right now, you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands. You're trying to say that I did this. Arrest me. I'm done. And again, look here at the bottom of the page. He reiterates. He says, I'm not doing anything now. You guys are going to end up with a lawsuit. Do what you need to do. Get your warrants. Take whatever you want at this point. I'm going home. Vito says, listen to me. And Mullen jumps in to interrupt and says, and de-escalate. And he says, whoa, why don't you ride with us? Huh? Dave's going to ride with us. So we want to let you also know that when we get there to the house, you can't go up inside because we're seeking a search warrant. Hop in. So you see what I'm saying here? They do not want him going back home whatsoever because they've already decided what this is going to be. And as I mentioned on page 4, whatever it was, mum's the word in case he's got cameras, because this was the objective the moment they pulled up to that house. Got it? So they get in a vehicle. Sound of entering and starting a vehicle. Detective Tony Liggett was not present during the following conversation. So Vito's still going on his bad cop tangent or tirade. He says, well, you had your shot. And Rick says, okay. And Mullen says, we're getting a search warrant for the home. Rick says, okay. Mullen says, it'll be a little while before we can get you back inside. Is there someplace? Well, I don't know where else you can go, really. And Rick, I'm not trying to give you a hard time, and Dave is not getting. We have a big job here in this situation. We're not trying to. And you'll get everything you want, says Rick. Go get your warrants and take it. And then, like I said, and Mullen says, we're not trying to give you a hard time. Well, you did, says Rick. You did. And honestly, I'm in fucking disbelief. Anyway, Rick, you said you think I need a cigarette too. We're the only ones. You're the only one that we've talked to. No, I think you've talked to tons of people. Right. I don't think you're bad people. I think you, oh, I appreciate that. And Vito says, what I'm trying to tell you is that when we look at and go to the prosecutor and we say, yup, talk to Joe. Joe had this to say. He gave us a polygraph. Yeah. He gave us DNA. He let us search his phone. He did everything he could to clear him. Sure. And when I go to the prosecutor and I said, yeah, we talked to Rick and he admits to being out there. Of course he does, says Rick. And wouldn't let us search his phone. He wouldn't even talk to us. He walked out of the room, wouldn't finish talking to us. Hell, I was ready to hand him my phone, says Rick, until it turned into he wouldn't take a, he wouldn't take a polygraph. So look at the two differences, Rick. And Rick says, honestly, I don't care. I know, honestly, I don't care. I mean, if you're trying to scare me, you can stop. Vito says, you should care. I'm not trying to scare you. Here's a difference, says Rick. And Vito says, Rick, it's a double homicide of 2 little girls. Oh, absolutely. And you're fucking blaming it on me, says Rick. No one's trying to blame you. That's fucking sick, says Rick. When did someone blame? So you can get, ever since I walked in the door, Rick, that's not the truth. To take what I said about wearing blue jeans and a damn jacket and tell me now I'm this person is fucking ridiculous. Now, like I'm saying, what kind of guilty person would act this way? I mean, listen. He knows they're questioning him about killing 2 little girls. He knows it. From the moment they walk in his home, they announce, we're here to talk about Abby and Libby. Okay? What kind of person volunteers the information about a gun, volunteers the information that he was there, volunteers the information that he was wearing something that you would obviously be wearing out there on that day, in a cold February day? And they try. They try this, and now they're going into the full frame job. And Mullen says, how do I justify being able to say that's not you if you're telling me you're wearing blue jeans and a black jacket or a blue jacket, and we can say for sure, looking at the picture of the guy on the bridge, that he told the girls to go down the hill and he's wearing the same type of clothing. You sat there yourself and said, I really can't say that's not a black Carhartt jacket. I really can't say that's not the jacket I had on. Rick says, I'm saying I can't tell you what it is. It's a fucking jacket. And Mullen says, okay, agreed. It's a jacket, but you yourself said you can't say it's not the clothing that you had on. Whatever. That is obviously not the clothing I had on because it's not fucking me. That's where we're at, buddy. Okay. That's exactly where we're at. So I need my cigarettes. How do we say that's not you? So let's just get to my house, says Rick. How do we say it's not you? You don't say you do whatever. You're going to get what you want. I can't stop you from searching my house. We have to do our jobs, though, says Vito. And Rick says, and searching my car and searching my phone, you're going to search whatever you want to search. Here's another thing. I'm just simply telling you, you're not going to get me. You're trying to get me to tell you that I fucking did this or some shit. So go get your warrant. You'll find out that there's nothing that connects me to this stupid ass shit. And I'm going to sue the fucking county for everything because I'm over it. Well, would you do a polygraph to confirm? This is bullshit. Your statement, Rick? I won't do anything to prove anything. I've got nothing to prove. The important thing here is that we get to the truth. And I understand you're upset. I get that. Obviously, it's not. No, seriously. I was perfectly fine, says Rick. You're the one that pissed me off. Well, I'm sorry if I made you mad, but we're trying. I don't really care. We're trying to work to make sure. I get that. The truth is in this. I hope you do. So the important thing is, and then I'll expect an apology, says Rick. I have a problem with apologizing to anybody about exactly anything that we've done that might make them mad. In fact, I'm very apologetic about the idea of making you mad, period. The thing is, we got a job to do. We want to try to get to the truth. So go do it, says Rick. And getting to the truth sometimes does offend people, unfortunately. Hey, that's fine. And I'm sorry if it offends you, but these are valid questions that anybody would have. Absolutely. So the next logical questions, we have been to be able to look at your phone, ask you to do a polygraph test. Those are pretty reasonable things. Nobody's saying that's unreasonable. If you're willing to get those things done, if you'll take a polygraph test, we could get that done even yet today. No, it's not going to happen. Like I said, it's over. I was perfectly fine. I was cooperating. I was going to give you my phone. And then, you started reading all these documents. And here's my thing is, I feel like you guys think I've done this, so I'm done. What you need to do, it's your job. Or you do what you need to do. It's your job. I understand that. But you better fucking leave my reputation out of it. So you do what you need to do. And then, like I said, when you do find this guy, I'll expect the apology. Okay, so what's my first impression of Rick Allen here? You're looking at a man extremely concerned about his image, or another way to say it, about what other people think about him. Okay? So if I were profiling Rick Allen, I'd be like, this is a guy that really cares about what other people think about him. I actually believe he cares what these cops think about him. But especially the neighbors, right? He doesn't want these neighbors to see them at his house. But as you can see, he's pretty, I don't know what the word would be, like obstinate about it all. It's like, how dare you come over here and say this and try to accuse me of this? I'll expect an apology. What kind of double killer of two little girls? Would be the first thing on his mind, is an apology. But he says, you better fucking leave my reputation out of it. Okay? I expect an apology. How would your reputation? We've done everything to protect you, Rick. You just fucking groped me out on the fucking street, idiot. Again, this is Rick Allen. You just groped me out on the fucking street, you idiot. Does this read like a guilty person? Sorry, it doesn't to me. Nobody saw it, says Mullen. Nobody saw him patting you down for weapons. How do you know, says Rick. We have to make sure we're safe. And when you start saying, hang on, I got to reach this, I got to do that, that makes us suspicious. Oh, I get that. We have to do our job. Yeah. So nobody wants to see you getting roughed up or nothing. And Vito says, explain to me the reputation thing. I don't understand how coming in and giving your side of the story and doing everything you can to prove that you're not, that you didn't kill those. And Rick says, which is exactly what I was, fully cooperative. How does that affect your reputation by doing that? I don't have to tell you anything, says Rick. Just get your warrants. And Vito says, I'm trying to understand. You're just so concerned about your reputation, yet you can't explain that to me, what you mean by that. I have issues, says Rick, where I worry about what people think of me, regardless of whether they even do or not. And it's something I deal with every day of my life. Again, like I said, this is a guy who's extremely concerned about what people think about him. And not only that, he's self-aware. How many serial killers and child killers are self-aware? So do you want people to think of you as the person that came in, cooperated with the police in everything you needed to do? Or do you want them to think of the person that, told the police, screw you guys and walked out? Okay, says Rick. That's exactly how it happened, says Mullen. So Rick, we can't let you go inside your home. Rick says, let me get my cigarettes out of the garage. Yeah, I'll do that for you. That's no problem. So my reputation, this is funny. Well, here's the thing, says Mullen. Yeah, so we could have done a lot of these things without even having to been at this point. Go ahead. Absolutely, says Rick. Okay, so you know I'm not trying to give you a hard time. And Dave, let me go get my. Dave's going to get you for now. Where are they at? I'm not trying to. Where exactly are they at? They should be on top of the freezer in my lighter. Okay. Yeah. It's the little refrigerator right there. Right. Okay. In the front door there? Right. In your garage here on the refrigerator? I can go in and grab those. You can grab my cigarettes. Okay. Yeah. And the lighter. Yes. Thank you. So, like I said, I'm really sorry. I don't mean to give you, oh, not as sorry as I am for you guys. Again, not as sorry as I am for you guys. What kind of guilty person is this upset? I don't see how in the world you're going to be able to say that we did anything wrong to you. Really? Okay. We didn't want to do this. You just did, said Rick. But you kind of leave us no choice. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. I understand. Go get your warrants and come when you get your warrants. Fucking sit here and park your goddamn cars on my street and make me look like a fucking ass. I'm done. Okay, again, you guys. Think about this statement. Go get your warrants and come when you get your warrants and fucking sit here and park your goddamn cars on my street and make me look like a fucking ass. Again, he's very concerned about what people think of him. So he's very concerned that the neighbors are going to see those cars parked on his fucking lawn, and that's going to, being in that kind of trouble or with cars on his lawn is going to make him look like a fucking ass. He's that concerned and he's self-aware about it. Anyway, we'll skip ahead. Conversation after arrival at 1967 Whiteman. Okay. Rick says, I got a hole in my pocket. Do you want to get it out or do you want me to? Just go ahead. No, this is crazy. There you go. Thank you. And Rick says something indiscernible. It must have been about his wife. And Mullen says, wow, she doing okay? Is she all right? Rick says, no, she's not at all. What the fuck was that? Seriously. I'm sorry. Just asking. I'm sorry. Like, excuse me. I'm sorry about all this. I love group texts. Yeah. Do you want another water? No, I'm good. Okay. Can I go over here? Sure. I don't know why indiscernible. They were fucking nasty. Like I said, it sounds like a regular indiscernible. Then it says presentation of search warrant. Okay. Hi, guys. So I get a copy of the search warrant. All right. Is this okay? Kathy says, can I be inside there too? No, we'll have you guys stay outside with the cats and not want to run out. No, they should hide, says Kathy. Don't want to lose them. That's the way it always goes. Vito says, okay, I'm going to need both of your cell phones. Is your passcode still the same? Yeah. Okay. Why do you need mine, says Kathy. It's the search warrant also. It's in the search warrant. Phone's on location. Is yours passcoded? Talk to my daughter, says Kathy. Thanks. Is yours passcoded as well? No. So I can see if it's open? Can't you at least let her daughter know that she's not going to be able to talk to her? I can let you make a phone call on mine. Do you know her number? No. 3975. What's his? You know, I wish I could tell you right now. What was yours? 2045. 2045. Okay, works. Do you know her phone number? I don't know it. What's her name? Brittany Allen. Brittany? Okay, that's right. Hey, Dave. Yeah. Let me see her phone real quick. I'll have to get her phone number, her daughter's phone number. It's under Brittany. Probably Brit, says Rick. Okay, Brit. There it is. Let me get my phone number for you. Or let me get my phone for you. Okay, thank you. If you want to try again, I understand. She may not answer the strange number. Want to dial again? She might answer. And then there's a phone ringing. Brittany says, this is Brittany. And Rick says, hey, Britt, here's your mom. Okay, I love you, Britt. There you go. Thank you, sir. I want to keep you guys warm. Shut the door. Thank you. Get another one? No, this is mine. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, same. I'll let her make a phone call on my phone, which is probably a mistake, but that's the way it is. Why would it be a mistake to let Kathy call Brittany? How did that strike you guys? That's the spirit of the day, which is what I was trying to convey to you. Okay? That's how that went down. Imagine if it was you. And imagine that you're an innocent person and their family. You wake up. Remember, Rick said he just woke up. So you wake up, and this is your day. All right. Let's see. I got some work to do. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up the next thing. Because we're going to jump around in this a bit. Okay, so next up, we're going to pull up this one. This is the appellate's brief that most of you should be familiar with this one as well. Like I said, those of you who know this case, who've been deeply delved into this case, you should already know this document, just like you should already know that interview, that first interview. So we're not going to teach it all to you now, but we're going to hit on points. And when it comes to this appellant's brief, I want to hit on a point that is crucial to understanding this moment. Because as I said, this is a picture of a moment, the moment that this fell on their heads. Okay, so what we're going to do in this appellant's brief, we're going to begin here on page 20. Okay, because here's a bombshell. This is another absolute bombshell that people seem to overlook. Okay, page 20 reads as follows. Harbaugh said the man walking down the road was wearing a tan coat. Tan coat. Remember, this discussion of the jacket in the interview that we just skipped over was all about a black or blue Carhartt. Black or blue Carhartt, right? Harbaugh said the man walking down the road was wearing a tan coat. Detective Liggett also made false statements in the affidavit, says the appellate team. He claimed that in an interview done of Sarah Harbaugh in 2017, remember, that's important. Memory is much sharper in 2017 than it's going to be in 2022 or whatever. She stated she saw a man. Liggett made the false statement saying she stated she saw a man wearing a, quote, blue colored jacket and was muddy and bloody. In her 2017 interview, Harbaugh did not describe the man as bloody, but only muddy. And she said he was wearing a tan jacket. And here's the bombshell. Number 5, page 21. Allen never said he was wearing a blue Carhartt. And his wife said Allen had purchased his current Carhartt a couple years earlier. Detective Liggett falsely stated that Allen said he was wearing a blue or black Carhartt with a hood and head covering. Allen told investigators that he did not know what he was wearing, and it could have been anything from a Carhartt to a sweatshirt, and that he kept a skull cap in his jacket. Although Allen's wife, and here you go, here's the drum roll for all of you idiots who are bloodlusters who think that you'd actually know what you're talking about, okay? Allen's wife said that he had a blue Carhartt in 2022, but Liggett left out that she said Allen purchased that coat a couple years ago. Oh my God! That's right. Bruh. And here's a bombshell for you. Not only did Allen's wife say that he had a blue Carhartt in 2022 and that she purchased that coat a couple years ago, okay? But more importantly, Kathy Allen has the bank statement and the receipt that prove that statement, meaning the blue Carhartt that was seized as part of this search warrant did not exist in 2017. What's the problem with that? Well, the girls were killed in 2017. So we're going to jump around in here a bit. Statement of issues. One, whether the search of Allen's home was unconstitutional and the resulting evidence inadmissible because law enforcement omitted and or altered key facts in the warrant application. Whether statements made while Allen was gravely disabled during his unprecedented pretrial solitary confinement were involuntary, the product of unconstitutional detention, and inadmissible. And whether or not the trial court, Judge Gull, denied Allen his right to a fair trial, which we know absolutely happened, denied him the ability to present a complete defense, denied him the ability to explain the crime scene, and denied him the ability to impeach the investigation. Okay, statement of facts. We'll skip ahead. Abby and Libby were killed 2 days later. Allen came forward and reported that he had been on the trail there and saw 3 girls because law enforcement wanted to know whether he had seen any possible suspects. He was interviewed in a parking lot. After the interview, the lead was marked cleared. Allen then returned to his job, family, and home in Delphi for the next 5 years, did not sell his car, did not destroy clothing, did not dispose of a gun that they claim he used to commit this crime, did not relocate, but continued his absolutely normal routine in high-profile positions within the community. No witness even could identify Allen as Bridge Guy, or, I should add, as the person that they intended to portray in the sketches that were made. And there were several sketches made, and none of those sketches had a witness who would verify that Allen was the individual they attempted to portray in that sketch. If you were law enforcement, wouldn't you put a photo lineup in front of those witnesses who produced those sketches and say, by the way, anybody in here and you have Alan in there. Is the guy that you intended to portray in that sketch in this lineup? We'll skip ahead a bit. The story Detective Liggett told the judge. Remember, the date I mentioned, October 13th, 2022, a significant date because of the 13 and the month of October, just like the 31st of the month of October was significant. On October 13, the state applied for a search warrant for Allen's home, car, and electronics. Liggett's probable cause affidavit, he concluded, Allen is the last individual to have contact with Liberty and Abigail and is the individual depicted on the Monon High Bridge from the video taken from Liberty German's phone. Let's put the brakes on there. Are you telling me that on October 13th, Liggett had that entire PCA already drafted? Do you get the point I'm making here? Are we saying that document had already been drafted before they drove up to Allen's home that morning and said, "Mum's the word in case he's got cameras"? The part of the story Detective Liggett did not tell the judge. Detective Liggett did not tell the judge about the differences between Betsy Blair's description of the man on the bridge and Allen's appearance. Just 3 days after the murders, Betsy Blair described the man as white, age 20, of medium build, and having brown curly hair. An artist completed the sketch that Blair made, which Blair made a rating of 10 out of 10 for accuracy. That's right, 10 out of 10 for that young guy sketch. 10 out of 10, which in the subsequent years, she concluded, well, maybe 9 out of 10. And there it is. 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10. You have an individual in his 20s, boyish looking, clean shaven, with bushy, curly brown hair. Look at him. And just as an aside, because I'm that kind of guy, go look at a photo of Daniel Pearson. Look at this guy. Go look at a photo of 2017 Keegan Kline, and then look at this guy. Hell, maybe even Garrett Kurtz, and look at this guy. Now, I want you to also go and look at a photo of the 2017 era Richard Allen and compare it to this guy. Do a lineup. Make yourself a lineup of 2017 Richard Allen, Daniel Pearson, Keegan Kline, Garrett Kurtz, Chris Mathers, anyone you want. Put Rick in there and compare to this. 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. In 2019, Detective Liggett personally interviewed Betsy Blair, who again described the man as slender. Would you describe Rick Allen as slender? Youthful, boyish looking. Would you describe Rick Allen as youthful and boyish looking? In his 20s or 30s. Would you describe Rick Allen as in his 20s or 30s? No facial hair, with poofy hair. Would you describe Rick Allen as having no facial hair and having poofy hair? In 2019, she still gave a 9 out of 10 for accuracy. Keep in mind, at the time of the murders, Allen was 44 years old, approximately 5'6", maybe even 5'5". Another red flag. Betsy Blair again made a description of an oddly parked car or vehicle, and this vehicle did not match Allen's. Detective Liggett omitted Betsy Blair's description of the oddly parked car as resembling a 1965 Ford or Mercury Comet with sharper angles. That's right, lies by omission. Below is Betsy Blair's drawing of the car, and it's compared to Richard Allen's 2016 hatchback. Take a close look. Take a close look. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to do a little solid for you. Okay? I've done this before, but it's worth doing again for new viewers. Okay? I love doing things for viewers, including this. Let me get this. Let me get this together. Remember, I do this on the fly, so you got to forgive me. Okay, you ready? Here we go. I'm going to be a champ here. Get this going. For all of your benefit, take a look at Betsy Blair's drawing in yellow. Okay? Now take a look at this, please. This is what her father owned, a 1965 Mercury Comet. This is what she described it as being like, right? 1965 Mercury Comet. You can see in the search bar there, that's what I've typed. You can see the labels on these photographs, 1965 Mercury Comet. Okay? Look at the profile view of the white one here. Okay? Mercury Comet, 1965. A vehicle she would have known well because this is a vehicle her father had once owned. She said, similar to a 1965 Comet. And here's a drawing she made. Now you go ahead and you compare that to those vehicles. Now Betsy Blair told Liggett the man Sarah Carba described walking down the road is not the same man she saw on the bridge. Now listen, key fact people forget. This is a key fact people forget. Again, let's look at the guy, the young guy here. Detective Liggett omitted the fact that Betsy Blair told him the man Sarah Carba described walking down the road is not the same man she saw. After talking with Blair in 2019, ISP issued a press release distinguishing the man Carba saw from the man on the bridge. And ISP explained the men are not the same person. They reiterated that Betsy Blair's sketch of the 20-year-old is representative of the face of the person captured in the video. Sarah Carbell said the man walking down the road was wearing a tan coat. See? And remember, this is the point I made here, that Kathy Allen's wife, Kathy Allen, had said that he had a blue heart, but in 2022. And Liggett left out that Kathy said Allen purchased it a couple of years ago and that she possesses a receipt proving the purchase and a bank statement proving the purchase. Law enforcement seized multiple items from Allen's home, including a Sig Sauer handgun, several knives, bullet casings, and a Carhartt type jacket with a white and yellow patch on the front that says Carhartt. These items featured prominently during Allen's trial. As a matter of fact, if you were really to put your thinking caps on, you would remember the fact that this entire case was built around the fact that Rick Allen had on a blue Carhartt, therefore was bridge guy. And if you also put your thinking caps on a little tighter, you would remember that because of McClelland's narrative that he was allowed to push towards the jurors, the entire thing was the framing of Richard Allen as bridge guy, which is why I titled this stream Delphi, Indiana's Billy Badasses, and the conspiracy to frame Richard Allen. Because the whole concept was you make him bridge guy, and as long as you can convince the jury that he is bridge guy, then they are going to convict, because they're going to deduce that bridge guy killed the girl. So all you have to really do with Rick Allen is make him bridge guy. And you use that Carhartt that was purchased in 2022 or so, you use that to do so. And the way you gauge that is as the jurors came out, or at least one came out that seems legitimate, because we all pretty much believe that second juror who was put across as authentic was really just, it appears that that was just Grayson, Lauren Matthias's assistant. So it appears that Lauren Matthias and Grayson pulled a fast one and had Tim from that other channel try to convince the world that Grayson was a juror. But yeah, sure. What am I getting at? I'm getting at the point that, in my opinion, when we listened to that first juror, and when we listened to the Patties and a whole bunch of other trolls and community members who came out as bloodlusters, what they all seemed to say was this, in response to the question, what convinces you that Rick Allen is the right guy and is guilty? All of these bloodlusters, bloodthirsty demons, they all said the same sort of thing. They said, well, it's not like there's one piece of evidence that convinces us he's the killer. It's more of the totality of the circumstances. Okay? And what they said is, well, you see, the state proved he was bridge guy. He was the guy in the video, and therefore he must have been the killer. So I guess what I'm getting across here is, without that blue jacket, do you prove to the jury and the general public that bridge guy, or that Richard Allen was bridge guy? They framed him as bridge guy by claiming he was out there on that day, like we know 20 other people were. And because he was out there that day, and because he later purchased a Carhartt type of jacket, therefore he must be bridge guy. It just makes sense, doesn't it? Even though it doesn't make sense. But remember, this judge was allowed to prevent any defense from being mounted, and was allowed the prosecutor and the sheriff here to put across this concept that this blue jacket mattered, and that the guy in the blue jacket was the same guy as the guy in the tan jacket, who was probably Ben Mears, let's be real here. And that even though he was muddy in a tan jacket, he's somehow bloody in a blue jacket. It's just, none of it works, okay? And everyone sees this. Everyone knows this. Let's be real here. All right. We're going to skip ahead a bit. They go into a bunch of Holman's lies. Remember, we've already covered Liggett's lies and omissions. Well, then they go into Holman's lies and omissions. Then they go into Westville and the absolute human rights violations that were the confinement at Westville. Just a few days after Allen was arrested for the first time in his life, he was sent to IDOC, into a segregation unit meant for the worst of the worst, the whole. Pretrial safekeepers with mental health issues are usually placed in a mental health unit. But is that where they placed Allen? No way. They knew Allen had a major depressive disorder and was hospitalized in 2019 for suicidal ideation. He received the D mental health code, entitling him to one out-of-cell psychologist visit a week. During the visits, Allen was shackled and confined. He had no face-to-face interaction unless shackled or separated by bars. He was restrained with leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain on a lead, and a shock vest. Okay. He was stripped of everything but bare necessities. He had a camera, a mattress, a concrete slab, bug infestation. Meals were passed through a door slot. He ate alone on the floor. There was lighting 24/7. And remember what Robert Baston informed us all of in his letters was that the inmates were constantly screaming, threatening to kill him. There was a slamming of doors, the leaving on of lights, and all of this stuff. And Allen was recorded 24/7. And IDOC knew that solitary confinement could worsen his mental health problems, his major depressive disorder, which, according to their own policy, was a serious mental health issue. But yet, even though their policy indicates and that this confinement could cause psychosis, and that their policy restricts the time that any inmates with serious mental illnesses, which their own guidelines indicate that major depressive disorder is, that those patients who have been deemed to have a serious mental illness could only stay in solitary for 30 days. IDOC didn't apply that particular policy to Allen, and he remained in this hole, in the hole or solitary confinement at Westville for 13 months. There's that number again, isn't it? 13 months of being in the hole at Westville with a serious mental health illness, and they knew it, and it was against their policies, and it's against any sort of norms in society, and they did it anyway. He was 180 pounds, by the way, upon intake. By April of 2023, when he was at the depths of his mental health crisis or his psychosis, he weighed a mere 135 pounds. That's right. His weight tanked from 180 to 135. He was psychotic and gravely disabled. He was also being force medicated with Haldol. At his intake weight of 180 pounds, he was being dosed as a 180-pound healthy man after being deteriorated down to 135 pounds, which means he was being overdosed with Haldol. Okay, and that was on top of his regular medical routine, which was Prozac. Keep in mind that he maintained his innocence during the entire part of his early custody, and he reiterated that this solitary confinement was meant to tear him down. Remember, we had the the defense go and visit him, in which they said that he was asking continuously at this point, is my wife alive? Is my wife okay? Is my family alive? Is my family okay? We have reason to believe that the guards were threatening. Remember, Allen himself indicated the guards with the Odin patches were the guards who were doing him harm. We have reason to believe, due to those statements, due to the statements of the defense apprentices, and due to the statements of Robert Baston, that Rick Allen's life was being threatened, his wife's life was being threatened, his family's lives were being threatened. As a matter of fact, on November of 2022, he emotionally told his wife, if this becomes too much for you, call the detectives and I will tell them, quote, whatever they want to know. Now, keep in mind, I mentioned earlier his concern for his wife and his cats and his neighbors. I'm going to skip ahead. I certainly don't intend to read again all through the abuse that was encountered in Westville. But we know there was the MK nurse who sextorted Richard Allen, Monica Walla, who subsequently was removed from Westville, and who Turbo falsely claimed when her social media presence as being an insane Delphi fan, listening to Delphi live streams 3 hours a day. At the same time, she was force medicating Richard Allen and treating Richard Allen and causing Richard Allen to have feelings for her, being the only female, the only one with perfumes, the only one with cleavage, and the only one who was a less of an overt threat to him. She used her sexuality. She used her knowledge of the information regarding Delphi that was out in the universe, and possibly from insiders, because we do know she was communicating with individuals on the inside of the social media sphere. We know that all of these YouTubers, this is what I explained in a couple of my most recent live streams, all of these YouTubers were directly in communication with Unified Command and the prosecutor and judge's offices. We have every reason to believe that Monica Walla was also in communication with those very same YouTubers and possibly with the same individuals. Okay? This is very interesting, because this entire thing, it all came together. Okay? In the framing of Richard Allen, this all came together. They basically broke him down, sent in a MK Ultra nurse, sent in the, it's good cop, bad cop. Once again, the bad cops were the guards at Westville. The good cop was the therapist or the MK nurse, Monica Walla. And like I said, you had Turbo, who seems to be one of the guiding forces behind all of this collusion with the YouTubers and the law enforcement behind the scenes. Immediately come out when Monica Walla's social media presence was exposed, and she did the most obscene thing you've ever seen in your life. And do you know what that was? She came forward and denied that Monica Walla was indeed Monica Walla. You remember, Monica Walla was a member of almost every single goddamn Facebook group, a fan of almost every single goddamn YouTube channel regarding Delphi. A huge consumer of Delphi content. And you had one of the primary point men, for lack of a better term, or women behind the scenes, come out and try to put that story to rest or bury it. And what happened is, when it reached the point of undeniable, when it was absolutely proven that, yes, this was Armana Koala who was in every group online? Did Turbo apologize for that and retract the statement? No, she did not. What did Turbo do? Turbo quietly deleted that denial. Turbo has no problem constantly posting, doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling down on the guilt of Richard Allen and the righteousness of the state of Indiana. Yet, when she made an egregious misstep, and that's putting it kindly, of denying that Mana Koala was indeed Mana Koala, the same Mana Koala, instead of coming out and loudly declaring that this was a mistake, quote unquote, or this is not Mana Koala, I apologize for misinforming the public and denying it. No, she didn't do that at all. She quietly deleted it, or as we like to say in the business, dirty deleted it, and pretended it never happened. And fortunately, smart people like us, yours truly, and others had already made sure we captured that. And by the way, just like everything these people do, it's always cross-platform. This is an entire social media movement. Okay, so not only did she post it on YouTube, she posted on Facebook and all over Facebook. This was a cross-platform effort, like everything they do. Anyhow, they mention here the addition of Trooper Brian Harshman, who, although he had no reason in the world to be an expert in anything, especially voice analysis, he was allowed to tell the jury that the voice of the guy in the bridge guy, the guy in the video, the voice of bridge guy is Richard Allen. That's right. That was allowed. Although no defense whatsoever was allowed. Okay. No defense was allowed for Richard Allen. But Harshman was allowed to go and tell the jury, as a respected member of law enforcement, a uniformed person, beholden to the integrity and the protection of the people of Indiana, a well-respected law enforcement officer, was allowed to take the stand and willy-nilly give his opinion, just like Cecil was allowed to go do a fast Google search and see what some people said online about their opinion of water in a phone. And he was allowed to go and tell the jury, oh, yeah, it's just a water drop got in a phone. It wasn't actually someone plugging in an earbud to silence a phone that was ringing. No, that never happened. There was never anything plugged in and plugged out of that phone. When we say, Rick, no one was there and the girls had been dead and there was absolutely no one out there manipulating that phone. No, it never happened. It was just a water droplet. And I know because I went searching on Google. These so-called experts in this case, every single one of them are absolutely the most shallow experts, quote unquote, if you could even call them that, you've ever seen. But like I said, you have to understand how bad this is for due process, because they take the stand for the prosecution with the full authority and backing of the state apparatus, with the state police. They come on with the backing of the prosecutor's office, the unified command, the sheriff's office, the police department, and the judge. They take that stand with the absolute weight of the state of Indiana behind them, and they're allowed to give willy-nilly non-expert opinions as experts. And that's a crucial part of the way this went down. And all you newcomers should start to understand that. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to skip ahead a bit because, we have much more to get through, honestly. They go into the crime scene, and I'm going to skip that because my main critique here is when you have spent and budgeted millions of dollars for this effort to railroad Richard Allen. Let me ask you this, because this bothers me. There were things that were not done that should have been done. And what I'm talking about here are things like this. Crime scene reconstruction. Because we can talk about the crime scene all we want. But you have to know that the state gives a very limited time frame for all of this to happen. Extremely limited, a very tight time frame that they claim this lone wolf killer accomplished all of these things the way this went down. All right? So somehow you have to fit all of this in this limited time frame, and you have to make it all make sense, which it doesn't. Whether it's Brad Weber's van scaring Richard Allen, okay, that time frame doesn't work if you really examine it closely and examine all the evidence that would show Brad Weber's travels and his van, and then this whole scenario of the time to get down that hill in the first place and then be somewhere to, and then all of a sudden be frightened by a van and then have to run across a creek and then but then you decide to stay there for a while when clearly you can see that van just parked up there because it's up on a hill. And then that guy's there. So why would you then decide to go kill those girls when you just saw that guy pull up? Like, none of that part makes sense. None of the small time frame makes sense to accomplish all the things. None of the time frame makes sense for or logic to the why anyone would somehow accomplish this miracle of getting a girl who had been undressed back in some wet clothes. That none of that makes sense, right? None of the lingering or malingering and putting sticks and painting blood on a tree and then moving bodies, and none of it makes sense. And then to get him out to where this Sarah Karba allegedly witnesses some person who I believe is probably Ben Mears or somebody going to the Mears residence or the butcher shop. None of that shit makes sense when you closely examine it in a timeline. And you know how all of that would have been either proven or disproven, either by the prosecution or the defense? It would have been done by having a truly accurate crime scene reconstruction accomplished, which could not have costed more than $5,000 or $10,000 on either party's part, whether it was a prosecution who chose to do it, who had unlimited resources, or the defense, who for all intents and purposes had unlimited resources. Remember, there was 30,000 plus that wasn't even used, that's still supposedly sitting there in the defense's coffers. So how do you make that make sense? So the prosecution chooses not to do it, maybe because they know it's not gonna, prosecution probably chooses to do it because they know that reconstructing that crime scene scenario is not going to benefit their case. It's going to prove it's more unlikely than not. And as the defense somehow inexplicably neglects to do it, when it would have proven the unlikelihood of all that occurring in this limited time frame. Same with some sort of analysis of the imagery to try to get a true and accurate height of bridge guy using forensic reconstruction techniques, trying to gauge the distance of quote unquote bridge guy from Abby in this video. Okay, how far is Abby from that bridge guy? How many feet back in that imagery is bridge guy? Surely that could be determined. Surely. Now, surely anybody who's a forensic reconstructionist could have taken that imagery, figured out where bridge guy was in this imagery, gotten the distance, right? then they could figure the angle of that camera. They know the height of Abby. And all it would take, you know the height of Abby, that's a known. You know the width of the bridge, that's a known. You can determine where bridge guy is, that's a known. You do trigonometry or parallax, you figure out the height that that individual in that video has to be to appear in relation to Abby, who is a known height. All of that could have been done, and it could have been done by the defense, but it wasn't. And that leads me to the next question. Same with resting early. The defense had a plethora of witnesses lined up. They had plenty of time left to be able to continue to pick apart the state's case. Why did they rest early? And then there's another factor. Wait for it, because I feel that I am promoting my videos in my most recent live streams, but because I have important content up. And one of my most important videos I've called something along the lines of fog reveal. I wish that one of my mods would post that video in the chat here. Fog reveal. Fog reveal. Why did the state not utilize the resource of proprietary information that would indicate through a fog reveal purchase every single device in and around that crime scene? And by that, I mean out there on the trails that day, let's say from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., or maybe even a 24-hour zone. Noon on the 13th to noon on the 14th. If the state believed their own case, all they would have had to do is contract with Fog Reveal to get that information and have 10 times more information than the geofence would show. So why was that not done? Do you understand how much fidelity that would bring to the cast analysis? Basically, you have the cast analysis, which is not really as clear as it needs to be. You have all these unknowns. You could have used this fog reveal as a layer surrounding the cast analysis to bring everything more clearly into focus, which tells me the state didn't want to know. The state did not want to know. They did not want more information about the devices out there on that day. They wanted to keep that circle small, keep that information limited. They wanted the limited information that they had not deleted, because remember, we had the 70 days of deleted. Okay, we have all the unknowns. We have the tips that are deleted that are unknown, disappeared. We have the behind the scenes investigative product that is unknown, disappeared. We have the marathon footage, which is unknown, disappeared. And like I said, we also have this proprietary information that could have been obtained through a fog reveal that was not brought in, because the concept here was to keep the information limited down to a certain amount that could be used for this scenario. So the last thing the state needed is more information that would paint a more accurate picture of what actually happened. All right. So I'm going to continue. The manner, quality, and thoroughness of the investigation. Okay. The jury never saw the sketch, Betsy Blair's sketch. Nor did they hear that Bridge Guy was not the muddy, bloody guy that Carbaugh saw. The jury never heard that the firearm and tool mark evidence is absolutely flawed and unscientific bullshit. Although Allen proffered expert William Tobin, the judge did not allow. The jury never heard Allen's confused, disjointed ramblings and screams during the months that Walla said Allen was making logical and organized confessions. Remember, she's force medicating this man for being in the depths of psychotic episodes. Yet, at the same time, she's claiming that he's making logical and organized confessions. And I'm not going to go into all of this. We've already been through it. Okay. The jury never heard that Allen could not have walked the girls across the creek to kill them after seeing a van driving. The state had video showing Weber's van arriving home 25 minutes after the pause in the movement of Liberty's phone and 15 minutes after it stopped moving altogether. Like I said, the timeline doesn't work with the white van or Weber's van. Okay? Security footage shows Weber arriving home approximately 2:44, 2:45. The state prepared a report by the FBI showing him arrive at 2:50. The jury never heard the details of that, right? The jury never heard that from the beginning, many investigators believed the girls' murders were part of a ritual. Textbook. Okay. I'm going to skip all the crime scene stuff. The jury never knew or heard how law enforcement completely fucking bungled the investigation in the first 2 years. Law enforcement on February 17, 2017, interviewed Logan and Brad Holder. By then, law enforcement suspected that the murder scene was ritualistic. Okay? Let's see. Unified Command declined to re-interview the individuals who were the first suspects and then subsequently deleted those interviews. Remember, they claim it was an accident to delete 70 days of interviews. Okay. Does it seem likely that that was accidental? The trial court committed reversible errors by admitting evidence seized under an unconstitutional search warrant. By denying Allen a Franks hearing, Detective Liggett obtained the warrant only by omitting and altering witness descriptions to try to connect Allen to Bridge Guy and to connect the young guy to the old guy, or the guy that Blair saw to the guy that Carbaugh saw, right? They also misrepresented that he wore a blue Carhartt like Bridge Guy, or that he even owned a blue Carhartt at the time, when they knew that Kathy Allen had informed them that he did not own that at that time, and it was purchased years later. Allen's confessions were involuntary, the product of a grave mental disability caused by 13 months of maximum security pretrial solitary confinement in the hole, which exceeds policy and caused psychosis, paranoia, and confusion. State actors were completely indifferent to all of this. And actually, I believe they encouraged it all. Admission of these statements made in the psychosis violated both federal due process and Indiana protections against unnecessary rigor and the error was not harmless, requiring suppression. The trial court denied Allen his constitutional right to a fair trial through a series of arbitrary and prejudicial rulings. Remember, we said consistently throughout this entire process that Judge Frangoll was absolutely behaving erratically, prejudicially, and unfairly, combatively. That crippled Allen's ability to present a complete defense. Trial court excluded critical exculpatory evidence, including Blair's sketch, which directly undermined the state's eyewitness theory. All of this would have contributed to reasonable doubt. They barred expert testimony that challenged the reliability of the forensics of the state, quote unquote. It also permitted inadmissible hearsay to rehabilitate the prosecution's timeline and acts that showed circumstances that led to confessions and impeached the credibility of those confessions, including audio depicting his deteriorated mental condition. The court prevented Allen from introducing substantial evidence of third-party guilt or an alternative explanation of the crime scene, right? Depriving the jury of context. Collectively, these errors violated Allen's 14th and 6th Amendment rights and created a fundamentally biased, one-siding proceeding. A new trial is constitutionally required to restore integrity of the adversarial process, integrity of the state of Indiana, and integrity of any of the individuals involved in this, including the entire law enforcement complex. The trial court committed reversible error by admitting evidence seized from this unconstitutional search of Allen's home, and also denied a Franks hearing, or multiple Franks hearings, and never gave despite multiple Franks filings, they denied any Franks hearing. Okay. Trial court erred by concluding that Detective Liggett did not make false or reckless omissions, false statements and reckless omissions in his affidavit, which we know he did. It's completely obvious to anyone who reads it. And honestly, even the bloodthirsters in the first days when that probable cause affidavit hit the airwaves, even the bloodlusters had to reluctantly admit that it was one of the worst probable cause affidavits that they had witnessed. And I'm talking about experienced law enforcement professionals. Detective Liggett omitted and changed all the information. Okay? And it reiterates the stuff we've already been through. That misled the judge and the jury. There was no probable cause if Liggett didn't alter and omit key facts. The trial court erred by admitting these statements made during disability. Also denied all the suppression of the statements. It equated to coercion. The state failed to prove that Allen's statements were a product of irrational intellect rather than the state's misconduct. The Indiana Constitution should be protecting against the admission of involuntary statements, which require confessions to be freely self-determined by rational intellect and free will. It does not require that the state action be completely coercive to overcome a mentally ill person's will, but we know that the state was also coercive. They were the product of unconstitutional detentions. All of these constitutional violations require suppression, and the errors were not harmless. The court, in denying Allen's right to present a complete defense and explain explain the scene, and impeach the investigation erred egregiously. Okay. The court committed reversible error by excluding Blair's sketch and description of Bridge Guy. Okay. And we're just about the end of where I wanted to stop. So on every piece that links this contextual picture or framing that makes Richard Allen Bridge Guy, the state erred in literally every piece, from the bullet to the confessions to the PCA to the timeline. In every single aspect, the state failed. Yet, because of the court's bias and the misrepresentation or misconduct of law enforcement, this was all allowed, and therefore the court and law enforcement facilitated this framing of Richard Allen. This is not opinion, this is all fact. Anyway, you can see they continue to describe these particular points in detail, and it's all there for you, including the ritualistic aspects of the scene, the bungled investigation, the false confessions, the various misrepresentations of the witnesses and the outright lies of the witnesses, and the omission of certain key witnesses who, oddly enough, did not take the stand, which is very concerning. The very premise of our adversary system of criminal justice is that the partisan advocacy on both sides of a case will best promote the ultimate objective that the guilty be convicted and the innocent go free. Because the trial court prohibited the jury from hearing Allen's side of the story, showing how law enforcement went down the wrong path, justice could not be done. The appellant, Richard Allen, requests the court reverse his convictions. Now, in that conclusion, it appears that this ultimately falls on the head of the judge, doesn't it? Because although all these other parties did wrong, who allowed this all to happen? Who allowed it? That's the number one question in reviewing this entire trial and all the lead up and then the aftermath. Remember, I said in my last show how it was so bizarre that at the time these leaks occurred, which we now know all the YouTubers and the prosecutor's office were behind, and whatever infiltrators went in to Andy Baldwin's office, whether it be Mitch Westerman, Matt Hoffman, Michael Losberg, or whoever, okay, the individuals who went in, remember, I have a question for you. Did Mitch Westerman truly believe Rick Allen was innocent or guilty? Did Robert Fortson truly believe Rick Allen was innocent or guilty? Did Tyler Carpenter, Fig Sauls, Mark Cohen, Nick McClellan? You see what the question here is? All those things that occurred in that whole debacle happened by the hands of people who thought Rick Allen was guilty. And who allowed it? Who allowed it all? Judge Gold. And when McClellan made the attempt of contempt because the Supreme Court didn't allow the first attempt, they made the second attempt. Who allowed the second attempt? Judge Gold. And who disallowed the Franks hearing? Judge Gold. When who offered the opportunity to the hand-chosen replacements for Baldwin and Rozzi, and that was Screamin' and Labredo, who offered them the opportunity for a Franks hearing? Judge Gold. Who ensured that not a single camera was going to be in that courtroom so that no one could see what actually happened? Judge Gold. And I want to go to this. This is from the motion to suppress the accused second statement, April 15, 2024. First interrogation, the one we started the show with tonight. Law enforcement officers requested Rick appear at the Delphi police station to answer questions. On October 13, 2022, he voluntarily went to the station, sat down with the police thinking he was assisting them in solving Delphi murders, since he had been on the trails earlier that day. Rick wanted to help out in any way he could, and it's clear in the video. The video was previously provided to the court on September 18th, 2023. The two officers that interviewed Rick Allen during that day were Tony Liggett, Steve Mullen. Rick was read his Miranda rights and signed an advisement of rights form, which is normal protocol. For the first roughly 3/4 of that interview, it's apparent Rick believed he was assisting the police in the investigation and the search for those that murdered the victims in the Delphi case. However, eventually it became obvious that Liggett and Mullen were actually pointing the finger at Rick. At one point, Rick said, "I don't want to be somebody's fall guy, and you're not going to try to make pieces of the puzzle fit somewhere they don't fit so we can close this thing. I'm not saying you guys, please don't think I'm questioning your integrity. That's not what I'm saying." However, Liggett and Mullen amped up the intensity, even moving their bodies closer to Rick. Rick said, "It's over. I was perfectly fine. I was cooperating. I was giving you my phone. And then, when you started reading all these documents, here's my thing. I feel like you guys think I've done this. So I'm done. You do what you need to do. It's your job. I understand that. But you better fucking leave my reputation out of it. So you do what you need to do. And then, like I said, when you find this guy, I'll expect the apology." Remember, we read that. At the end of the interview, Rick made it clear he didn't want to talk. Within hours, Liggett somehow miraculously, remember I made that point. How is it that Liggett had that PCA ready to go miraculously while Rick waited in the car? And Judge Diener, of course, signed the warrant, just like he had drafted the safekeeping order. Remember how I described to you that Diener drafted that safekeeping order for Lesenby, illegally signed his own document, and then recused himself. Like, you can't make this shit up. At every single phase of this thing, wrong was done. On the second interrogation, October 13, Rick and Kathy Allen asked the state police when they could pick up their vehicle that had been seized. They were told that they could pick it up in a couple days. So on October 17, either Kathy or Rick contacted the state police to determine how and when they could get their vehicle. Okay? After a few phone calls, on October 26th, Rick and Kathy were scheduled to arrive at the state police post in Lafayette. Okay, remember that. On October 26th, Rick Allen drove with Kathy to the West Lafayette police post to retrieve the vehicle that had been seized 13 days earlier. Can you believe it? 13 days earlier. You can't make this shit up. Oh my God. No lies here. State police told Rick that upon their arrival, their car would be released, but never mentioned anything about questioning. When Rick and Kathy arrived at the station, Holman met them at the front. Juror Holman. And he said he just had a few things he wanted to clear up. Holman requested Rick follow him to the interrogation room without Kathy. This is divide and conquer. Rick complied. Kathy was not allowed to participate. She was told she could wait in the lobby. Well, Rick arrived with Holman, and for unknown reasons, the video provided to the defense is missing. Okay? Now, here's where I'm going to hit on a conspiracy theory for you. Mirandizing. For reasons unknown to the defense, the video provided is missing the beginning portion when procedural matters are typically handled, such as the reading of Miranda, advisement of rights, and confirming with the suspect that he is free to leave. In this case, either the camera was only turned on after they were already minutes into it, or the camera was recording the entire time, but in the beginning of the interview, they edited the beginning out before turning it over. Either way, in the interaction of the beginning of the interaction between Holman and Rick, when the Miranda rights are always reviewed, it's missing. Missing. No Miranda on tape. Oh, no, but he did it. Oh, yeah, he did it. So here, once again, we're required to take the word of the people who are framing this guy for this. We're supposed to take the word of the main agitator in this entire thing, Jerry Holman, supposed to take his word that that Miranda warning was read. In 70 plus years between co-counsel, it's highly unusual. To make matters more suspicious, Holman claims in his November 1st, 2022 report that I asked Mr. Allen if he remembered the other detectives reading him his Miranda rights, and he said yes. I told him he was free to go at any time and that the door was unlocked, quote unquote. Holman doesn't identify who the other investigators are that purportedly reviewed Miranda. Holman's report doesn't detail when or how these reported investigators purportedly reviewed Miranda with Rick. Holman's words appear nowhere on the video. In other words, he's not shown asking Rick about his rights, nor is Holman viewed telling Rick that he's free to go, you know? The beginning of the interview is missing, which is when this supposedly happened, okay? The defense searched for Miranda waiver of rights from October 26th. Of course, find nothing. Okay? Just as Rick's original tape statement to Dan Doolin is missing. It appears to the defense that Jerry Holman's claims in his report about Miranda I don't know. Here's what actually occurred on October 26th on video. Holman never read his Miranda rights, nor mentioned them to Rick Allen. He wasn't told he was free to go on video. He was placed in a tiny confined room and Holman shut the door. Then Holman came in. There's a considerable size difference between the two. A differential power dynamic existed as Holman was state trooper in his home court of the Lafayette Police. I told you, listen to that word, Lafayette. We're going to get to it. So here you go with a state police officer in his home post and a CBS worker who's much smaller, who only drove there to pick up his vehicle. At the 7-minute and 10-second mark, Jerry Holman told Allen that we have experts that say that's you on the bridge and that's your voice on the video. There's no evidence to support the statement. At 15 minutes, 25 seconds, Holman told Rick Allen, experts are saying that's you on the video. Experts are saying you said down the hill, no evidence. At 15:07, Holman tells Rick, witnesses saw a gun in his pocket. No evidence that anyone claims to have seen a gun in Rick's pocket. At 39:05, Holman says, I'm not lying to you about anything. I'm lying to you about everything. No, he does. Everything I'm telling you is fact, he says. The experts say you go down the hill. This is Holman lying. At 42:33, Holman says, "I'm not lying to you. That's unethical." Well, he has been lying. The prosecutors and investigators, they want to lock you up and throw away the key, he says. "If you don't tell me, you're going down for this. Do you realize death penalty is on the table for this?" At various times, Holman is yelling and screaming, using profanity-laced language while accusing Rick Allen of murders. Rick asks Holman to stop the interview. Rick says, "I'm done," early in at the 12:05 mark, but Holman continues, just like he did with Robert Fortson. The state police never turned over the vehicle to Kathy after Rick was arrested. Returning the vehicle to Kathy was merely a subterfuge to get Rick to the police post to be interrogated and arrested. Okay, we're going to skip over this law. Okay, and I'm bringing up this one. This is from 5/20/2024. Defendant's second motion to dismiss based upon newly discovered, destroyed, and or missing exculpatory or potentially useful evidence. Now, here's an important thing. Listen. February 7th, the accused filed his motion to dismiss for destroying exculpatory evidence and memorandum in support. In his first motion, the defense detailed how a February 17, 2017 interview of Brad Holder was destroyed. Okay. March 18, 2024, a hearing was held. Steve Mullen testified other evidence was destroyed in 2017 and purportedly unintentionally taped over. March 18, defense tendered Mullen's undated reports that purportedly explained how the evidence was destroyed. The prosecution did not tender these reports to the defense until after the motion to dismiss was filed. Also said reports were only turned over after the defense requested those items from the prosecution. How much you want to bet they were fabricated on the spot? That's why they're not dated. April 2nd, 2024, the court denied the defense's motion to dismiss. The defense has since learned of other exculpatory evidence, potentially useful evidence the prosecution had not turned over or the state had destroyed. Okay? Then they get into Brad Holder's data. Okay? And I'm going to go to another piece that I'm trying to get to. The missing destroyed evidence is exculpatory. Okay? As detailed in the accompanying memorandum, if this court finds the missing destroyed evidence is not exculpatory, but that is potentially useful, then the court should dismiss the charges, even if it finds that law enforcement intentionally caused the potentially useful evidence to be destroyed, act in bad faith. Regarding the missing evidence, Franks 1-4 provide many details of why the court should believe that law enforcement intentionally caused the potentially useful evidence detailed herein to be destroyed or acted in bad faith. The defense incorporates the Frankses 1-4 into this, so this is important. Okay, missing portions of vital video from Holman's 10/26/22 interrogation video, right? However, the first few minutes of that interrogation are inexplicably missing, just like the 70 days of evidence in or investigative product in the first year or 6-7 months. The missing portions of the video conveniently, according to Holman, would have shown Holman discussing Richard Allen's Miranda rights and freedom to leave the room. Both important concepts that might support the legality or illegality of Holman's interrogation. Of course, no explanation exists as to why the only portion of the videotaped interrogation that's missing is the crucial beginning of the interrogation during which this Miranda should have been covered. The missing video supports the defense's contention that Holman knew he had screwed up and therefore edited out the first few minutes of the interrogation to avoid the statement being suppressed. The missing video from Holman's October 26th interrogation of Richard Allen is evidence of intentionality of law enforcement involving the concealment and or destruction of evidence and or evidence of bad faith. And not only that, let me reiterate that if you really pay attention to that video, you'll see there's also a portion at the end that is edited out that appears to be at the height of Jerry Holman yelling and screaming like a gorilla, flailing his arms about, yelling and screaming. At the height of that episode, there's an edited out portion if you truly study the video. I wonder what was said at that moment. Okay. Jerry Holman lied in his August 10th, 2023 deposition that Brad Holder was never a suspect. However, it's clear from reviewing emails between Doug Carter and the FBI that Brad Holder was a suspect, even known to Jay Abbott, Indianapolis's FBI top agent. Jay Abbott. Where have we heard that name before? Holman misled the defense by claiming that Holder was not a suspect. Okay. Prosecution failed to turn over Todd Click's evidence and only turned it over after it was obvious the defense would be learning about it. Prosecution failed to turn over exculpatory evidence contained in several videotape statements until after prosecution knew the defense would learn of its existence. Okay. Prosecution and law enforcement attempted to conceal the identity of a Purdue professor whose testimony contradicted the sworn statement. And you guys have just become aware that the recording of that has been leaked by the usual suspects. And if you go and listen to that, it's absolutely clear beyond a reasonable doubt, beyond any doubt in the world, that Turco absolutely told Jerry Holman that this was runic and concerning. It's more effective in audio format than it is in written format. It's undeniable. I suggest everyone listen to that. Prosecution failed to turn over one of the key pieces of evidence for nearly 9 fucking months, and only after the defense kept requesting it. And that is the phone data extracted from Liberty's phone. That's right. For 9 months, they didn't turn over that phone data. This handicapped the defense. Although the prosecution and law enforcement possessed that evidence for 5 years before arrest, it took them 9 months later than criminal rule requires to turn that over. The failure of law enforcement to turn over Liberty's phone for nearly 9 months aided them in concealing exculpatory evidence and handicapping the defense and keeping them from exploring the evidence. Law enforcement concealed the Blotcher report, okay, which contained exculpatory ping information well over 1 year beyond when it was required. Again, more handicapping of the defense. Lazenby contradicted the statement of both Holman and Liggett concerning the number of people involved in the murders. Okay, detailed in Frank's 1, Liggett and Holman testified under oath that only one person, Richard Allen, was involved in the murder of the victims. This proclamation under oath by Liggett and Holman would negate the defense's contention that the evidence supports that multiple people were involved. However, when Tobe Lazenby was deposed under oath, Tobe said that Liggett actually believed that multiple people were involved in the murders. So both Liggett and Lazenby believed that multiple people were involved. We know, as a matter of fact, that for all these years, law enforcement believed multiple individuals were responsible for the murders. This conflicting sworn testimony of law enforcement is further evidence of the intentionality on the part of law enforcement to conceal their actual beliefs concerning the number of people involved in the murders of the victims in order to direct the defense away from this theory and in order to frame or railroad Richard Allen as the lone wolf killing because obviously there was a decision made prior to Rick's arrest that this entire thing would be turned into a lone wolf killing and away from a multiple perpetrator crime. This is the only way they could possibly railroad a single individual as the lone wolf killer, is if they changed their theory. No recording of Richard Allen's interview with Dan Doolin is highly, highly concerning and suspect, because Richard Allen conflicts. The statement of Richard Allen, or the claims of Richard Allen about when he said he was there that day, conflicts with the claims of Dan Doolin about what he said that day. So we have Richard Allen claiming that he said he was there at a time, Dan Doolin claiming that he said he was there at a different time, and of course no evidence of it, because it's magically not existent. Because in order to believe Dan Doolin's version, if we had a video that contradicted that, well, that wouldn't really work, would it? So perhaps that's another thing that had to be disappeared. Okay. And they go through other missing evidence. Okay. And that brings me to the direction I want to go for closing. Give me a moment. I think I need a little chocolate and a drink of water so I can speak a little more clearly. Just one moment. Hello, everybody. Just to let you know, I'm back on the 100% absolute sociopath here. Welcome in, True Grit Crime and Fur Baby Daddy. It's good to see you. Silence Woman, Digital. Hello, everybody that came in. I missed everyone coming in. Appreciate seeing you here. I'm trying to bring this to a close, wrap this up, but it's good to see everybody. And appreciate you all for coming in. All right, let's head to the direction I want to go. So obviously, I've been deep diving the entire thousands of pages of appellate filing. So not only have I been looking at the appellate brief, but I've been looking at all the volumes of the entire case record that are attached. And I found something I thought was extremely awesome and is a good way to head towards a closing on this particular episode. And for her own privacy, I have redacted the author's name, but some of you may have probably seen this before. But for those of you who haven't, I want to read through this for you and show it to you, because this is a very, very good letter. But I have some commentary. Okay, so let's bring it up. So this was a letter to Judge Gull, and I'm going to read it. It says, no, I'm goofing again. Sorry. It's a chocolate. Let me rephrase that. In the midst of all the letters to Judge Gull that were ex parte letters that she admitted into the case record, there is this beauty. This is a letter to the Honorable Supreme Court Justice Loretta Lush, Loretta Rush. Now, in other words, this is a letter, okay? This is a letter to the Supreme Court. Okay, this is a letter to the Supreme Court of Indiana. This is to the Chief Justice, Loretta Rush, and I want to read it. So keep in mind, this is a letter to the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, which means the whole thing. Let's read it. It says, I hope this letter finds you in good health and high spirits. I am writing to express my deep concerns regarding a matter of significant importance, which I believe requires your immediate attention as the guardian of justice in our state. The issue in question pertains to the recent legal case presided over by Judge Francis Gull at Allen County. I have followed this case closely, and my observations have led me to believe that Judge Gull may be acting with bias, engaging in corrupt practices, and exerting undue pressure within the legal proceedings. These concerns arise from various instances and circumstances which I believe are indicative of a lack of impartiality and integrity in the courtroom. Specifically, I am troubled by the following aspects of the case. Bias. There have been several instances in which Judge Gull appears to have shown favoritism towards one party, raising questions about her ability to make impartial judgments. Corruption. There have been allegations of irregularities in the handling of evidence, questionable procedural decisions, and allegations of bribery or other corrupt practices that have cast a shadow over the case. I urge you to investigate these allegations thoroughly to ensure the integrity of the judicial process. Coercion. There have been concerns raised about the possibility of coercion being used to influence the decisions made in this case, creating an environment where justice may not be served. Lack of fairness. The proceedings in this case have not appeared to be conducted with the fairness and transparency that our justice system demands. It is essential that every citizen has faith in the fairness of our courts, and this case has raised doubts about that fundamental principle. Cover-ups. There are allegations of efforts to cover up misconduct and suppress information that would shed light on the true nature of the proceedings. It is crucial to ensure transparency and accountability in our legal system. I am writing to request that your office, the Office of the Chief Justice of the Indiana Supreme Court, launch a thorough and independent investigation into these matters. It is imperative that we uphold the principles of justice and fairness in our legal system. And addressing these concerns is crucial to maintaining public trust in our judiciary. I understand that your office has a vital role in ensuring that the legal system remains one above reproach and that justice is served equitably. I trust that you will take this matter seriously and investigate it diligently. It is of paramount importance to all citizens that our justice system operate with integrity, and I am confident in your commitment to upholding these principles. I appreciate your attention to this matter and look forward to hearing about the steps your office will take to address these concerns. Please keep me informed of the progress and any developments regarding this case. If there is any additional information I can provide to assist you in your investigation, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you for your time and consideration. And there is a link to a change.org petition to address the allegations of coercion, impartiality, and cover-up in the DELPHI case. Okay? And that's a wonderful letter there. And it's, oh, sorry about that. And it's not at all exaggerating or misrepresenting the concerns of outside observers here in this case. It's actually a very poignant summary of the major concerns by outside observers. And I think that people should review that. And I was really glad to read it and thought it would be a great addition to this. But here's a concern, okay? And this is where it's not going to be encouraging. Sorry to say. Let me bring this up. Who is Loretta Rush? Loretta Rush took the oath of office as Indiana's 108th Supreme Court Justice in November 2012 after being appointed by Governor Mitch Daniels. She was retained by voters in 2014 and 2024. The Judicial Nominating Commission named her Indiana's first female Chief Justice in August 2014. She was reappointed in 2019 and 2024. As Chief Justice, Rush is responsible for serving Indiana's judicial branch. The supervision includes working with state legislature to secure funding and allocate resources appropriately, and overseeing a multi-agency central administrative office that handles everything from caseload measures and technology updates to the admission and discipline of lawyers. Chief Justice Rush is the immediate past president of the Conference of Chief Justices and a member of the National Center for State Courts Board of Directors. She also served as co-chair of the National Judicial Opioid Task Force and as an executive committee member on the National Judicial Task Force to examine state courts' response to mental illness, oddly enough. In 2019, she was appointed Chief Justice by John Roberts. Excuse me. We're going to have multiple red flags in the next 10 minutes. Multiple red flags. Appointed by Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts. Any of you who spend any time in conspiracy world should surely know about the conspiracies revolving around John Roberts. The allegations revolving around John Roberts. The murmurings of connections to that other notorious case in the world right now regarding high-powered individuals. John Roberts' name is deeply intertwined in that. But we're not even close to done with that. She was recently elected as a member of American Law Institute. In addition to being a member of the local, state, and national bar associations, Chief Justice Rush is a life fellow of the American Bar Foundation and Academy of Law Alumni Fellow for the Maurer School of Law. Who else? Okay, anyone else? Anyone else concerned with that?
Oh my God!
Bloomington. She's a member of the Indiana Girl Advisory Council. She also is chair or member of several commissions, including the Indiana Judicial Conference Board of Directors, Indiana Judicial Nominating Qualifying Commission. Okay. Chief Justice Rush was named the 2018 Indiana Chamber of Commerce Government Leader of the Year. She also received the American Legion of Indiana Distinguishing Public Service Award, the Purdue University Distinguished Alumni. Hello.
Oh my God!
Purdue University. Okay. We're not even halfway done. Let me keep going. I'm going to skip some. Let's get to the business. Let's see. IBJ Media has included Chief Justice Rush on each of their annual Indiana 250 lists, which includes the state's most influential and impactful leaders. Prior to her appointment, Rush spent 15 years at a Lafayette law firm, Hello, Lafayette, 15 years prior, the immediate 15 years prior to appointment as Chief Justice, she spent in Lafayette at a law firm elected 3 times to serve as what? Tippecanoe Superior Court 3 judge. That's right. What region are we talking about here? Lafayette? Where's Holman? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where's the Lafayette PD? Mm-hmm. Where's Tippecanoe County? Not even close to done. She was born in Pennsylvania. More on that later. And moved frequently as a child before settling in Indiana in 72. She earned her undergrad from Purdue University and her law degree from Indiana University Maurer School of Law with honors. Okay. Does that school sound familiar to anyone? Well, that's okay. I'll help you now. Let's continue. Indiana Supreme Court. Okay. Established by Article 7 of the Constitution, the highest judicial authority in the state, right? Located in Indy. The court's chambers are in the north wing of the State House. Okay, I'm going to skip the bullshit. In 2008, the court consisted of 1 Chief Justice and 4 Associate Justices, the constitutional minimum. However, the Indiana General Assembly may increase the number of Associate Justices to a maximum of 8 for a total of 9 court justices. Okay, skip ahead. The court has no original jurisdiction in most cases, meaning that it can only hear cases appealed at the court after previously heard in lower courts. Most cases begin in local circuit courts where the initial trial is held and a jury decides the outcome. Circuit court decision can be appealed to Indiana Court of Appeals. Okay. If parties disagree with the outcome of the case, then they can appeal the decision to the Indiana Supreme Court. The court could choose to hear the case, possibly overturn the previous judgment, or decline to accept the case and uphold the decision of the lower courts. The Indiana Supreme Court has no original sole jurisdiction in certain areas, including the practice of law, discipline, disbarment of judges appointed to lower courts, supervision over exercise of jurisdiction by other lower courts. When the court accepts a case, it reviews the documentation of the trials in the lower court, sometimes allows oral arguments before making a decision. In some cases, the judges will issue a decision without hearing arguments from either side and base their decision solely on evidence submitted in the lower courts. Okay, I'm going to forward because here's where I want to get to the important part. The court appoints 3 commissions to assist in its exclusive jurisdiction over the practice of law. The role of the Board of Law Examiners is to inquire into and determine the character, fitness, and general qualifications to be admitted to practice law as a member of the bar of the Indiana Supreme Court. Listen to this one. The Disciplinary Commission is responsible for investigating grievances filed against members of the bar for misconduct and making disciplinary recommendations to the Supreme Court. Don't sound too good, right? Don't we have a lot of questions about the Disciplinary Commission and about misconduct surrounding the Delphi case? I don't know about you, but I do. And it gets worse. Let's forward here. It doesn't get any better. Like I said, it always gets worse. It's Delphi. Sorry about my mouse is glitching. I'm trying to get us here. Look at here. Current justices. This is where it gets stanky. Okay? This is where it gets stanky. Promise you. Current justices. Loretta Rush, Chief Justice. Okay? Appointer, Mitch Daniels. Mark Massa. Appointer, Mitch Daniels. Get ready for it. Jeffrey Slaughter. appointer, Mike Pence. Excuse me. Remember I said there's some murmurings on the conspiracy world internet about Chief Justice John Roberts? Are there murmurings on the internet about one Mike Pence? Yeah. Yeah. Sure are.
Oh my God!
And it gets worse. Like I said, this is Delphi. Look at here. It always gets worse. Christopher Goff. Appointment. Eric Holcomb. Derek Moulter. Appointer. Eric Holcomb. Oh my God. We got Holcomb, Pence. Holcomb, Pence. Holcomb, Pence, and Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, John Roberts. Seems like I've heard all of these names tied up into some particular questionable scenarios revolving around children in conspiracy world. By the way, this is not my allegations. These are conspiracy world allegations that I've just seen out there. Does anyone feel confident in this group of people?
Bruh.
So what are you saying, Prof? It's a big club, and you ain't in it. Seems like Maurer School of Law. Let's see, how many attorneys in this case emanate from that law school? John Roberts, Mike Pence, Eric Holcomb, Purdue University. To quote my favorite one-liner from any movie of all time, this town needs an enema.
Bruh.
So let's see. Our theory here is that Delphi is a trafficking case. That the Dropbox opens the door into the world of trafficking. Occult, pedophilia, high-powered individuals, child trafficking, human trafficking, DC connections. And the very people at the top of the pyramid here in Indiana are directly tied to the individuals at the top of that pyramid in DC. Who else is tied to DC? You know what? There are people who you don't know in the Delphi case on YouTube coming right out of DC. More than one. Like, do you realize there are more people than you know who are coming right out of DC who have attached themselves to this Delphi case very vocally, whether in the past or current? This whole thing is so much worse than you can imagine. I always say that. I want to do something. Let's see. See if I can do this real quick. Because I didn't prepare, obviously. But I'm going to pull this up to close. For any of you who saw Erica's show today, which was, by the way, very informative, you might have seen this. She put this up. The Dropbox is the nexus. The Dropbox is the nexus. Well, that's my theory anyway. And just remember, Erica is one of the few privileged individuals in the world who have actually laid their eyes on discovery. There's very few. Outside of the prosecutor's office, there's only a handful of individuals have laid their eyes on discovery, and Erica's one of them. As a matter of fact, I would like you all at this moment to go. I don't know if someone would please put the link to Erica's video or her channel in the chat. I'd like to put it up on the screen, but everyone stop what you're doing now. If you're in the sound of my voice and you have not gone to subscribe to Victims News on Air, Erica's channel, please go do so now. Because you should get your information from informed parties. Document-based information. In other words, when I sit here and I talk to you and I give my opinion, the reason that I put everything up on the screen is so that you will see that these opinions are document-based. And so when you listen to someone that has actually laid their eyes on discovery, one of the handful of individuals in the world who's independent, who has done so in the DELPHI case, and who has a history that goes back into missing and exploited children, you should probably think twice or listen twice or perk your ears up. Conspiracy world meets reality world. That's your nexus. The Dropbox is the nexus. It's not just me saying it, although I like to say it, because I'm convinced of it. And in the months and weeks ahead, you may become more convinced of it as we roll out the things that we're going to roll out, because we have spoken to people. And we are speaking to people. With that being said, that's my show. DELPHI, Indiana's Billy Badasses and the Conspiracy to Frame Richard Allen. And I think we'll leave it like that. Leave it at that. And by the way, you guys, don't be calling him Ricky. You heard in his own words, he likes to be called Rick. So let's respect and call him Richard or Rick. This fetishizing of Rick Allen and calling him Rickety and saying that he likes to, fish, take walks, and, he likes his family. We don't have to do that. We don't have to infantilize Rick Allen to make him worthy of advocating for, because whether or not you believe he was involved in some way or not, or had knowledge in some way or not, one thing that everyone should be able to agree with is that Richard Allen was absolutely wrongfully convicted and railroaded, and the judge, prosecutor, law enforcement, they were all exhibiting misconduct and bias, and that should never be allowed in this system. And so for me, guilter, you think he's guilty? You think he's not guilty? We should all be able to agree upon one thing, and that he was wrongfully convicted should not be allowed. This should not be allowed to stand. And everything that has happened in the aftermath should not be allowed to stand, which is largely what I cover on this channel in terms of the community and all of the travesties that have occurred outside of the conviction of Rick Allen, like the allowing the witnesses to lie, like all of the harassment of individuals on the internet for just merely speaking their piece, the leaks, and all that happened, and the deaths that have followed this case. None of this should be allowed to stand. It should all be reviewed, and that's my call out to the federal authorities, particularly the FBI, is please address this. This needs a deep review, and it's doubtful that it's going to happen when you're dealing with these people right here. Okay, Indiana Supreme Court. I don't know, man. I don't think so. I don't think there's no hope right there. Eric Holcomb, Mike Pence, John Roberts. I don't know, man. I don't know. DC connections. I don't know. Anyhow, guys, thanks for being here. I want to thank everyone who's in here now. I'm going to say goodnight on the way out, and then we'll be out of here. So I heard Erica's show today, and I agree it was great and important. Nancy Drew, what's up, Nancy Drew? What's up, Quad Axel? Deb731, what's up, Digital? Silence Woman, Fur Baby Daddy, Heavy Metal Rehab, True Grit Crime. Who else is in here? Everyone say goodbye so I can say your name on the way out. Let's see. We got Nicole Watt, Dirty Diana, Charles Godwin, Rotting Jules, MJ Lewis, all kind of folks. Matt Payton. Oh, excuse me, chocolate's kicking in. Appreciate everybody who was here super early, like Swade Smith. I saw her here super early, and a bunch of friends. I want to thank the donors tonight. Please do donate to the channel. Send me a super chat or look at the Cash App, buy me a coffee. Support the channel financially if you're able to. I'd really love to receive a Cash App or a super chat or a buy me a coffee or any support you want to send. I appreciate. But we had donors like Rebecca Ann, Deb731, Erica Morse, Becky B33, Heavy Metal Rehab, 26 Dead Zombies Dude, Silence Woman. Thank you very much, Silence Woman. Dom S. Thank you very much, Dom S. Swade Smith. Thank you. Kate. Thank you. I missed a lot of those. So to those of you who sent those, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. You see, it puts a smile on my face. Thank you very much. But with that being said, we out of here. We out of here, okay? We love you. Of course, it's Delphi. We love Abby and Libby, and we do it for them. And let's be honest here, for all the child victims who have suffered at the hands of depraved individuals. We advocate here for all child victims, and we do this. Yes, we do it primarily. We hyper focus on Abby and Libby, but don't get it twisted. They are two children, just like we do for any two children. And hopefully by us shedding light on these two children, it will enable others to see the necessity for all children. And so I stand here for children, and that's the reason I decided to do this, is because Abby and Libby are not here to fight for themselves. So I feel that I can fight for them, and hopefully they'd be happy with it. So I appreciate you all. Okay, appreciate you all, and we ask you to pray for everyone. And also, hey, God bless Noe Amos. Noe Amos. We will see him released tomorrow. So we are down to day 0. Okay. Momentarily, we will be at the final countdown. And I want to just encourage everyone to encourage Noe Amos when he comes out. I'd love to see Noe. And I know that Noe would love to see all of you and all your encouragement. So woot woot. God bless. Thanks for being here. And I'm going to get out of here. And that's how we're going to do it. So cheers to everybody. This is Delphi, Indiana's Billy Badasses and the Conspiracy to Frame or Railroad Richard Allen. And we'll catch you later. Peace out, okay? Let's jam. Good vibes, all right? Good vibes. Let's do it. Ready?
It was our job to help law enforcement.
Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Been waiting so patient, I'm going places, can't fake it. My heart is so cold, my energy is contagious. All the pain, I can't take it. I'm staying grounded and graceful, cause I know everything that I've been through only made me count my blessings daily. Yeah, they've been acting shady, but I don't take it personal. The memories fading, I'm enjoying the moment. I've been smelling the roses, taking time to reflect, stepping back, the truth unfolding, unfolding. Got nothing to prove, cause I'm not the blow. I've been in the booth, speaking to my soul. You know that I'm true, either way it go, either way it goes. I cannot turn cold, staying on the low. I've been protecting my soul. If your intentions are not pure, I can't let you get too close, cause I'm vibrating high. Ain't got time for your ego, these niggas quit to turn their back. Acting like the amigos, they never cared in the shows. Wasn't with you at your lows, assuming that you gonna fold. But baby, I've been growing ever since I let you go. And I've been doing better, and I know that hurts to know. Hurts to know. Only good vibes around me, and that's for sure. Only good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. You see me searching for my inner peace. I've been learning more about myself and my purpose. Truth always come to the surface. Was hurting, but I had to heal. Releasing all the pain that I always held. Been going through some changes, I'll make it still. Protecting my soul to keep it real. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. Only need good vibes. Can't lie. Only need good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes.
Our job to help law enforcement.
It's not productive, it's kind of gross and icky, and I feel like it tells us more about them than the people that are trying to degrade. They're always trying to degrade someone.
We would like to dedicate this number to everyone here. Written by Gary McFarlane. A sack full of dreams. I've got a dream for the world. Peace in the rivers and everywhere. Bridges of steel and love. And cities that smile. Gray empty faces walk by. And hands try to hide all the loneliness. Lighting a cigarette to blow time away. lost in the noise, lonely as a wind. People on sidewalks with no place to go. Can they learn to understand the world of love that I'm dreaming? The world of love. And I said, I've got a sack full of dreams. Streets filled with laughter and toy balloons, and people with hearts that care. Who listen for love. Wanting to sing, wanting to care, wanting to share all my dreams for the world. Can they learn to understand the world of love that I'm dreaming? Wanting to share all my dreams for the world. Can they learn? Can they learn? Can they learn to understand the world of love? Peace, peace and happiness. Love and kindness. This is my sack full of dreams.